the Interstellar Mecha cook. Hey! Look who's back for more adventures. We love having you here to continue this story that keeps us all awake. Important note, all of this is pure fiction, so don't try any techniques you hear here in real life. Your neighbor might call the cops. This amazing novel and all its rights belong to the original author. We're just the ones giving it voice and drama. Are you enjoying the show? Prove it by subscribing to our YouTube channel and leaving that like that motivates us so much. And if you want VIP access to exclusive content, our Patreon is waiting with things you won't find anywhere else. Chapter 701 Sulking. Song Jiaqi was dragged away to be punished. Lin Miaomiao went into the bathroom to take a shower unhappily. Because it was too late to take a bath, she simply rinsed herself with warm water. After coming out of the bathroom, she ignored Yi Hongwen and climbed onto the bed and lay down on the inside. She took a thin air conditioning quilt and went to sleep. Yi Hongwen knew that she was angry, so he didn't immediately go over to ignite the fire. He also went to the bathroom to take a quick shower. He didn't even wear pajamas. He directly wrapped the key parts with a bath towel, climbed onto the bed with his bare chest, got into the quilt, and hugged the person inside. Lin Miaomiao, who was stuffy and dozed off unconsciously, was awakened and said unhappily, "I'm sleepy, I know, I'll just hug you," Yi Hongwen said softly. Lin Miaomiao twisted her body and said, "I can't sleep with you holding me like this." It was just an excuse. She had been held in Yi Hongwen's arms many times before, but the thought of Song Jiaqi, dressed so lightly and knocking on the door, made her rage rise. Captain Yi was truly blessed to have such a narcissistic woman throw herself at him. She resisted a few more struggles, but Yi Hongwen was determined not to let go. Lin Miaomiao had no choice but to close her eyes and sleep. Only when her breathing calmed did Yi Hongwen loosen his grip slightly, grinning bitterly in the darkness. He was truly unlucky. What should have been a wonderful night was interrupted by a strange woman. He always felt that 50 military sticks were too few. After a peaceful night's sleep, Lin Miaomiao rose on time the next morning, washed up, and was ready to go for a morning run. Yi Hongwen automatically followed her. "Why are you following me? Aren't you too busy to go for a morning run?" Lin Miaomiao glared at her awkwardly. When she woke up, not only did her anger not subside, it was even getting worse. He had provoked a bad love affair and didn't explain. Did he expect him to accept it? Feeling that Yi Hongwen had two hearts, Lin Miaomiao was so angry that she quickened her pace again, trying to shake him off. But how could that be possible? Yi Hongwen was taller than her and a young and strong man. His steps were bigger than hers and he had more physical strength than her. Following her was like taking a leisurely stroll. Although he didn't think he had done anything wrong to his wife, he had to admit his mistakes when she was angry. Now he honestly admitted his mistakes. "I'm sorry, it's all my fault. I will never open the door carelessly again." Lin Miaomiao frowned. How could it be her fault for opening the door carelessly? But on second thought, she had to admit that it was indeed her fault. She opened the door without using the electronic eyes to check, and ended up being entangled by this shameless person. Be careful when you open the door next time. Remember to look for people before you open it, Lin Miaomiao said to him unhappily, then explained awkwardly, "I'm not jealous. If I open the door without seeing who's coming, what if it's a bad guy?" Yi Hongwen nodded. "My wife is right. Don't open the door casually in the future. You must see who's knocking first." Lin Miaomiao felt a little happier and continued to remind him, "Even if it's someone you know, you have to be careful. These days, many people get jealous when they see others doing well, so you have to be on guard." After making his suggestion, he thought for a moment and added, "Even if a woman looks weak, you can't associate with her casually. What if she wants to grab your big, thick legs?" Yi Hongwen nodded again. "I understand, my wife, don't worry." When it came time to humble himself, Yi Hongwen was not stingy at all. Lin Miaomiao finally calmed down. Thinking about how busy her husband was every day and how he had to go out of his way to coax her, a sweet feeling gradually rose in her heart. "You'd better go back to the ship and do your work. I'll bring you breakfast later when we get there." Seeing that he had calmed down, Yi Hongwen was happy in his heart, but he didn't forget to explain, "My work has come to an end for the time being, and I should be relatively free these 2 days," so he still had to go for a morning run or something, and do a surprise check to see if the team members were lazy, otherwise it would be boring to stay on the ship with nothing to do. What Yi Hongwen didn't know was that it would have been fine if he hadn't explained. As soon as he explained, Lin Miaomiao's mood became bad. It seemed that she was being sentimental. Captain Yu was actually going on an inspection. Feeling a little embarrassed, Lin Miaomiao resumed her silent attitude and went to the gate together. This time, she didn't care whether Yi Hongwen followed or not. The two arrived at the gate of the base one after the other. The team members who were familiar with them immediately noticed something was wrong. "Captain, what's wrong? Did you have a fight with Miaomiao?" Liu Yifei yawned as he approached. "You're incredibly cold-blooded, I'd say. She disobeyed orders just to hook up with you, and you didn't even bother to see her. If you can't bear to leave her, then go see her. I'll grant you a day of sick leave to spend time with her," Yi Hongwen said with disdain. "Forget about anything else. I can't stand for things like disobeying military orders." Liu Yifei's smile froze, and he started yelling. "How could I be so reluctant to part with a daffodil? Boss, don't try to throw mud at me." Yi Hongwen glanced at him coldly and walked past him. His wife had already run off, so he didn't have time to care about these random people. Left behind, Liu Yifei was desolate. Forgetting his brothers just because he had a wife was truly cold-blooded. Yi Hongwen didn't care what was going on in his head. He greeted Song and Li, who were watching from the door, and set off after his wife. Having long legs is an advantage. After a few minutes, he successfully caught up with Lin Miaomiao and took the initiative to talk to her. "Why don't you wait for me?" Lin Miaomiao didn't appreciate it and replied in a muffled voice, "You don't need to go for a morning run, just stand there and supervise." Yi Hongwen shook his head. "I'm here with you for a morning run. Watching the situation is just a side thing. Don't get me wrong, he is not a person who likes to exaggerate his achievements. He does what he should do and will not brag about it. Running with his wife is just running, and he will never stand by and watch." Yi Hongwen is determined to coax her into doing well. Lin Miaomiao glanced at him and decided not to complain to him. It is not a good thing to catch a gust of wind while running. It took more than half an hour to run around the base. All the team members were panting and sweating profusely. Lin Miaomiao could smell a pungent smell. After finishing the training and wiping the sweat off her head, Lin Miaomiao raised her hand to look at her wheat-colored skin and couldn't help but sigh again. "I've been here for less than a month and I'm already tanned? It's not bad now." Yi Hongwen didn't understand his discomfort. "The sun is so strong here that no matter how careful you are, it can't protect you." Lin Miaomiao remembered when she first came here. She naively thought sunscreen was very useful and wouldn't go out without applying a bottle every day. After a few days, she realized it was a waste. The sun was too strong and no matter how much sunscreen she applied, it was useless. She secretly agreed with Yi Hongwen's idea in her heart, but she remained expressionless on the surface and hurried to the cafeteria. She had to eat more when she was angry, so that she wouldn't have the energy to put on a cold face during the Cold War. Chapter 702, Coaxing a Wife is a Skill. The two of them were silent all the way, and when they were almost at the cafeteria, Yi Hongwen finally broke the silence. "Are you still angry?" Lin Miaomiao refused to admit it, and only said stiffly, "I'm not angry." Yi Hongwen laughed. She said she wasn't angry when she looked like that. Did he think he was blind? "What are you laughing at?" Lin Miaomiao glared at him. Knowing that she was angry, Yi Hongwen could still laugh. It was unbearable. In a fit of anger, Lin Miaomiao said, "I'm not eating anymore. I'm not hungry." At worst, she could go back and drink the nutritional supplements. She didn't want to be laughed at here, especially by her own husband, as if she was a failure. Yi Hongwen felt wronged. He thought Miaomiao's sulking look was cute, and he couldn't help but laugh. In the end, he was misunderstood as making fun of her. He was no fool. How could he dare let his wife leave in anger? He quickly reached out and grabbed Lin Miaomiao. "No, I just thought of something funny. I wasn't trying to tease you," Lin Miaomiao drawled, looking at him with distrust. After a few seconds, she shook her head decisively. "I don't believe it. Having a wife who is too smart wasn't a good thing." Yi Hongwen was feeling rather conflicted. Every attempt to appease his wife was a difficult task. He sighed and assured her with a straight face, "I was honestly thinking of some jokes Yifei and the others had pulled in the past. I wasn't kidding you." Lin Miaomiao was half believing and half doubting. She wanted to ask what was going on, but she couldn't bring herself to speak, thinking she was sulking. After all these years together, Yi Hongwen understood her feelings and took the initiative to bring up a joke from when they first met Liu Yifei. When they first met, they were both ordinary soldiers, assigned to the same team. Because Yi Hongwen was stronger, Liu Yifei always lost in every mecha battle or military boxing sparring match, and he was always beaten to pulp. Liu Yifei was a stubborn person. Although he admired Yi Hongwen deeply in his heart, he refused to admit defeat. He would make strange provocations at any time, and then he would always be scolded by Yi Hongwen. After repeating this several times, he dared not speak nonsense anymore and could only sulk in secret. What's so funny about this? Lin Miaomiao curled her lips. The idiot's ideas were always different, so it was not surprising that he would do such things. That's right, Yi Hongwen nodded calmly, a look of agreement. What I'm saying is funny is that he's sulking. Every time he sees me, he snorts and turns his head away, pretending he didn't see me or that he's unfamiliar with me. It's just like a woman sulking. Lin Miaomiao imagined Liu Yifei's sulking, his tsundere look, and she couldn't help but laugh. But then she thought, why would Yi Hongwen suddenly bring this up? Was he implying that this was how she sulked? The thought made Lin Miaomiao feel terrible. With a dull face, she turned and grinned at the man beside her, saying with a slightly sinister tone, I'm just angry. If you don't like it, just go away. Why are you insinuating Liu Yifei to me? Yi Hongwen's mention of Liu Yifei's sulking behavior was just a sudden idea, a way to change the subject and hint that he already knew his wife was sulking. Unexpectedly, Lin Miaomiao got the hint and openly expressed her anger. For a moment, she felt a little depressed. Now, how could she comfort him? Yi Hongwen couldn't think of a better way to proceed. Seeing they were already at the mess hall, he forcefully dragged his wife inside for breakfast. Let's talk after dinner. The mess hall was packed, and most of the team members had already gotten their food and started eating. However, due to fleet regulations, not many people were making loud noises during meals, so the mess hall was generally quite quiet. Lin Miaomiao didn't want to argue with Yi Hongwen in front of everyone, lest she let slip in excitement and make people think the captain was having an affair. After all, what happened last night was just the narcissist's wishful thinking. She could be a little jealous and sullen, but she couldn't pour cold water on her husband. After being dragged into the mess hall, Lin Miaomiao calmed down and lined up at her favorite breakfast counter as usual. Lin Miaomiao preferred fried noodles, but she also liked soup dumplings. Normally, she would queue up for fried noodles and have Yi Hongwen bring her 2 large dumplings, but today, she didn't want to talk too much, so she just went to queue up on her own. With a lot of daily exercise, she ate more food. To fill her stomach, she grabbed a plate of fried noodles and fried rice, and without looking for Yi Hongwen, she found an empty seat and sat down. Soon, Yi Hongwen sat down next to his wife with a tray. He conscientiously placed a plate of 2 meat buns in front of Lin Miaomiao, saying, your favorite, the soup meat buns. Lin Miaomiao glanced at the tempting large meat buns inconspicuously, swallowed her saliva, and refused. I brought enough for breakfast. I can't finish the meat buns, so you can eat them yourself. Despite her words, she didn't return the meat buns. Instead, she looked at the fried noodles and fried rice on her plate, both of which she also loved. So, should she still have the meat buns? Yi Hongwen couldn't help but laugh internally at her torn expression, wanting both but unable to finish them. Even with her expressionless face, his wife was still adorable. That female soldier last night was just talking nonsense. In his heart, his wife was still the most beautiful. But his wife had run into a problem, so he had to solve it for her anyway. After thinking about it, Yi Hongwen took the meat buns back. Lin Miaomiao, who was still thinking about what to eat, glared at him. You gave it all to me, how could he want to take back something he had given away? It was too uncultured. Don't worry, I didn't think of taking it back. Yi Hongwen comforted him with a smile, and took out a fresh-keeping lunchbox from the space button. I'll pack the meat buns for you first, and take them out when you're hungry after training. Lin Miaomiao was embarrassed, realizing that she had misunderstood, so she said awkwardly, the soup meat buns should be eaten early, otherwise the soup will seep into the dough and it won't taste good. My wife is right. Yi Hongwen immediately changed his mind, then packed the fried rice. It tastes better if it's kept for a long time. Okay. Lin Miaomiao had no objection. The two reached a consensus, and Yi Hongwen took the initiative to pack up the fried rice. Then he diligently served his wife breakfast, waving fried dough sticks and steamed buns in front of her, successfully attracting Lin Miaomiao's interest. In the end, Lin Miaomiao ate half a plate of fried noodles, 2 meat buns, a fried dough stick and a steamed bun. And she was very satisfied and didn't stop until her stomach was full. Yi Hongwen was very considerate and ate up the remaining half plate of fried noodles, and ate 2 steamed buns and 2 fried dough sticks that he made, barely filling his stomach. After being served a breakfast, Lin Miaomiao's anger dissipated a lot. Fearing that Yi Hongwen was not full, she did not take the packed fried rice, and said in a proud and arrogant manner, "I don't want to eat any more. It's up to you whether to throw it away or eat it." Chapter 703, Coaxing a Wife is a Skill. Yi Hongwen hadn't expected Lin Miaomiao to say such a thing. After a moment's thought, he understood what was going on. Knowing his wife was worried he wasn't full, he felt a surge of joy and immediately put away his lunchbox. "Okay, I'll eat later, whether you eat or not is none of my business," Lin Miaomiao said proudly, turning her head away. After breakfast, the two prepared to part ways. Lin Miaomiao wanted to join the others for training in the large playground, while Yi Hongwen returned to his duties aboard the Shenyu. Before leaving, Captain Yi looked eagerly at his wife. "Miaomiao, can you bring me lunch at noon?" Lin Miaomiao said expressionlessly. "You have some fried rice to go, Yi Hongwen. Isn't that a snack my wife gave him?" Without the promise of a meal, Yi Hongwen knew she was still angry, so he regretfully gave up. Thinking of her continued anger, he decided to delay and send her to the playground. "I'm not a 2 or 3-year-old child, why do I need to be sent back?" Lin Miaomiao impatiently drove him away. "Go and do your thing, there will be no danger in the base, so it's hypocritical to send people back and forth." Well, Lin Miaomiao has to admit that she is not in a very bad mood. It is also a problem if a man is too outstanding and looks too good. Even if he is serious, he will attract bees and butterflies. She has driven away many of them over the years and is really too tired. Glancing at Yi Hongwen's handsome face, Lin Miaomiao began to consider whether to disfigure him. She has less and less energy to drive away those bees and butterflies. She is exhausted. Lin Miaomiao couldn't help feeling annoyed when she thought of what Song Jiaqi said last night. These days, mistresses are really arrogant. They dare to put on a powerful face in front of the original wife without even hooking up with a man. Seeing Yi Hongwen still insisting on walking her to the playground, Lin Miaomiao couldn't help but explode. "Go do what you need to do. Don't hang around me. If you walk me there, someone might come and accuse me of delaying Captain Yi's work." Yi Hongwen understood that he was being taken out on, so he immediately gave up the idea of walking her out and whispered, "Okay, I won't. Remember to bring me lunch at noon." Lin Miaomiao nodded casually. "Okay, go quickly. If I don't leave now, I'll be late for training." She looked up at the sky. The sun was already glaring, and it was time for another 10. After a hard morning of training, Lin Miaomiao followed her friends to the cafeteria for lunch as usual, but it didn't take long for her to sense something was wrong. Specifically, it was Yun Yan and Bai Jin who were stealing glances at Lin Miaomiao during their meal breaks, as if they were about to say something but couldn't. Lin Miaomiao wanted to ask what happened, but then she thought better of it. She wasn't in a good mood today and didn't have time for guessing games with her friends. Having promised to deliver food, she had to keep her word. After finishing her meal and clearing the table, Lin Miaomiao was about to inform her friends about the next developments when Yun Yan, who had been glancing at her at least 30 times, finally lost her temper. "Hey, Miaomiao, I just heard some bad news and I want to confirm it with you," Yun Yan said with a fawning smile. "You have to answer honestly." Lin Miaomiao raised an eyebrow, not used to seeing such a servile person. "Ask, it's not a big deal." Actually, Yun Yan rubbed her hands, her smile looking a little lewd. "I heard that a narcissist knocked on your dorm last night, trying to hook up with a boss. Everyone loves gossip, especially about a captain." At Yun Yan's question, the team members at the nearby tables pricked up their ears. Lin Miaomiao's face darkened. "Who leaked what happened last night? Li Yifei? Wenzixi? Or was it Fan Lei?" No matter who started the conversation, if she found out, she would definitely record the little black account. After the Imperial Alliance war was over and they returned to the headquarters on Shaoyin Star, she would definitely not let that big mouth go. "Hey, why didn't Miaomiao answer?" Yun Yan said with some concern. "Is everything we just heard true or false? It's all useless news." Lin Miaomiao didn't want to spread the story of last night, at least not from her, lest people think she was going to kill them all. The 50 military sticks Yi Hongwen had punished Song Jiaqi with were enough for her. Although it was a normal punishment, She still had to be careful to distance herself from the matter. Such a vague answer obviously couldn't satisfy Yun Yan's gossipy heart. She habitually tilted her head and posed in a cute pose, pulling at a corner of Lin Miaomiao's clothes like a spoiled child to prevent her from leaving. Please, tell me. Lin Miaomiao felt a chill. It seemed that they had just argued last time about not being cute at such an old age. Seeing Yun Yan acting a lot more normal in the past few days, she thought she had straightened her out, but she didn't expect that to be the case at all. After arguing once, she didn't want to continue, but she didn't want to see someone pretending to be cute. Lin Miaomiao gritted her teeth and brought out a piece of gossip. Nothing big happened last night. But Yan Yin, why did I hear that you and Yan Wenxing are together? Yan Wenxing? Such a familiar name. The gossipers who were eavesdropping with their ears perked up began to rack their brains to think where they had heard it. Temporary Commander-in-Chief, Bai Jin revealed the answer directly. Yan Yan, you actually climbed up the social ladder. Although Yan Wenxing had gotten the job of Temporary Commander-in-Chief by taking advantage of the situation, he was still quite capable. Even though he was only a level 5 mecha master and couldn't take over the shadowless captain's position, his future was bright. For a moment, many of the female team members' eyes flickered with jealousy and disbelief. Yun Yan was anxious. She wanted to gossip about the boss's romantic troubles, and she didn't want to be the subject of gossip. She hurriedly tried to deny it, but her denial was useless. Everyone still surrounded her, asking about the commander-in-chief. Miaomiao, help me explain, Yun Yan shouted, sweat dripping from her forehead, at Lin Miaomiao, who was standing aside. Lin Miaomiao blinked innocently. You're the one Captain Yan is dating. Why do you need me to explain? I don't even know him. Yun Yan felt like crying, but she couldn't. This was a sign of her being killed at any moment. After making sure no one was still dwelling on last night's gossip, Lin Miaomiao waved her sleeves, went to the window to grab a lunch, and then, in a good mood, went to deliver the meal to her husband. It must be said that it's very easy to build your own happiness on the pain of others. Initially not in a good mood and reluctant to deliver the meal, Lin Miaomiao suddenly brightened up and happily rushed to the Shenyu, much to the delight of Yi Hongwen, who was still worried about how to appease his wife. Lin Miaomiao handed over the packed meal. Here, your lunch. Yi Hongwen opened it and saw that although it wasn't all his favorite dishes like yesterday, most of them were delicious, which was a good result. While eating lunch, Yi Hongwen didn't forget to inquire about what had happened and why his wife was suddenly happy again. Unfortunately, he was too reassured. Hearing him trying to find out, Lin Miaomiao said bluntly, eat yours. So many delicious things can't stop you from talking. Well, Yi Hongwen had to admit that it was not easy to appease his wife. Chapter 704, The Imperial Commander's Plot. No matter how imposing he might be, or how powerful he might be in crushing his men, Yi Hongwen simply couldn't muster a passing grade when it came to coaxing his wife. Just as Captain Yu was considering seeking advice from his strategists, Imperial warships suddenly reappeared off the border planet. This time, without the involvement of traitors, Yan Wenxing quickly rallied his fleet to confront the enemy. After several rounds of naval engagements, both sides suffered losses, but strangely, the Empire refused to retreat. Most of its ships adopted a desperate stance, like a death squad. Yan Wenxing sensed something was amiss and immediately contacted the captains of each ship to discuss how to respond to the Empire's desperate tactics. Perhaps because of the strained relations caused by recent battles, many captains were left feeling vacant, their mouths clenched, their mouths trembling. The commander-in-chief is young and promising. Tell us what we should do, and we will follow your instructions. Yan Wenxing was a little annoyed. He had little experience commanding operations. If it weren't for those ambitious individuals seeking to conquer the Empire, he would have willingly relinquished his position as interim commander-in-chief, even if Wu Ying's presence was marginalized. Gritting his teeth, he suppressed his growing rage and placed his hopes on Yi Hongwen. Captain Yi, do you have any suggestions? Yi Hongwen nodded coldly. Most of the Empire's warships are probably empty, with only pilots aboard. Yan Wenxing's face darkened. Empty ships? No wonder they were so out of hand. It was clearly a Star Wars scenario. But their fleet's crews were scattered across the warships. A head-on confrontation wasn't a good idea at all. The captains, who had just been hoping to watch the action, suddenly changed color. Hurry up and move. Get your crews aboard one of the warships. No, they're coming too fast. We can't dock properly right now. Yi Hongwen dismissed their idea without hesitation. Then what do you say? We can't just fight them with the entire fleet. Yi Hongwen pondered for a moment, remembering the 22nd Prince of the Empire, still confined in the infirmary. He considered whether he could use him to negotiate for more time to transfer his crews. Then there was the issue of the pilot. The other crew members could transfer to a warship, but they had to stay aboard. An unmanned warship would be a mere meal for the enemy. He mentally considered any potential ways to buy time, and after much deliberation, he concluded that using the 22nd Prince was the only option. With an idea in mind, Yi Hongwen immediately ordered Fan Lei, who was standing by behind him, go and bring the 22nd Prince to the captain's cabin. Yan Wingxing was surprised. Why bring him here at this time? Qin Yuan, the 22nd Prince of the Empire, was something of an oddity. He showed no resentment at being captured, and he diligently recuperated when asked to. He only frequently complained about the poor quality of his food, with even meat being a rarity. Shen Yu's food expenses were always high, but prisoners were treated less well, with only a bottle of low-grade nutritional supplement. Even before Qin Yuan's identity was exposed, he had only nutritional supplements to drink. After Qin Yuan's identity was exposed, Yi Hongwen improved his treatment, sending the doctor on duty from the infirmary to bring him a portion of food with each meal. To his surprise, the man who had previously been so obedient in drinking the nutritional supplements now despised Shen Yu's food. Yi Hongwen, remembering the doctor on duty had been running back and forth several times, wanting to discipline Qin Yuan harshly, agreed. Not long after, Qin Yuan was brought in. He glanced around in confusion, confirming he was in the cockpit. The fat on his face shifted, and he asked curiously, "Captain Yi, what did you call me for?" Qin Yuan wasn't particularly good-looking, but he possessed a thick skin. Even as a captive, he managed to curry favor with the doctor on duty. Even a stoic Yi Hongwen wouldn't budge, and he joined the Shen Yu people in calling him Captain Yi, unfazed. Having heard of Qin Yuan's unusual exploits, Lin Miaomiao, curious enough to meet him once, was startled by the prince's outrageous enthusiasm. He immediately called out, "Hello, sister-in-law." Even more outrageous, he apologized, saying his space button was missing and he couldn't offer his sister-in-law a welcome gift right away. If Yi Hongwen hadn't had any brothers, Lin Miaomiao would have thought he had an ignorant younger brother who had come to the factory to act so much more important. Ironically, Qin Yuan's enthusiasm for Lin Miaomiao wasn't meant to curry Yi Hongwen's favor. Instead, while complaining about the poor food, she'd heard from the infirmary staff that Lin Miaomiao's cooking was quite good, and she'd decided to try it. Unfortunately, Lin Miaomiao didn't agree to Qin Yuan's request. She'd been on board her star for so long without even having the chance to enter the cafeteria, so how could she possibly make an exception just for an imperial prisoner? Yi Hongwen, feeling a headache, gestured for Fan Lei to take the man to a corner and stand him there. He then instructed Yan Wangxing to advise the Imperial Commander-in-Chief, "The 22nd Prince is in our Shen Yu. We should also talk to the Imperial Captain-in-Chief." After all, feeding the prisoners costs a lot of credits. There were also the infirmary's treatment fees, and after Qin Yuan's identity was revealed, the nurse's attentive care and diligent physical examinations meant he couldn't be waived. Yan Wangxing found Yi Hongwen's reason absurd, but deep down, he agreed. Qin Yuan wasn't someone they could just wipe out, so it was better to treat him well. After connecting with the Imperial Commander-in-Chief, Yan Wangxing said bluntly, "Hey, we've captured your 22nd Prince, and he's still aboard the warship. Are you sure you want to continue the fight?" The Imperial Commander's lips twitched, a flicker of annoyance crossing his face, but he quickly regained his composure. He replied bluntly, "I don't know what you're talking about. Our prince is staying safe on Imperial Star." Yan Wangxing glared at him with disdain. "Are you planning to kill your prince along with us and pin the blame on us? I'm puzzled. Why is no one doing anything about the captured prince? It seems you're taking this opportunity to eliminate Zhu Yuan. You're slandering me." The Imperial Commander was shocked and furious. He hadn't expected his scheme to be seen through. Zhu Yuan was a prince of the Empire. Although unremarkable in appearance, he possessed considerable skill. Before he was 30, he was already a level 5 mecha pilot, making him one of the best among the other princes. After confirming Qin Yuan's identity, Lin Miaomiao also learned the shocking news: the 22nd Prince of the Empire was her captive. Logically, as a prince of the Empire, he wouldn't actually fight even if he wanted to. However, the Imperial Commander favored the first prince and did everything he could to force him into battle, even going so far as to let him off when Lin Miaomiao dragged him back aboard the Shenyu. If anything happened to the 22nd prince aboard the Imperial warship, the first prince would lose a powerful competitor, the Federation would take the blame, and even have a pretext for invasion, truly killing 3 birds with 1 stone. Having his plan exposed by his opponent, the Imperial commander was shocked and furious, yet he kept thinking of a solution, unwilling to let this golden opportunity slip away. Chapter 705, Stupid Prince. The Imperial commander gritted his teeth. He had already made up his mind, when Zhu Yuan arrived, he would find a way to make him deny his identity. The 22nd prince was known to be foolish and timid. If he could be persuaded with words, he wouldn't dare reveal his identity. To the Imperial commander's surprise, Zhu Yuan's first reaction upon appearing on the screen was a delighted plea for help. "Captain Hu, you're here to pick me up?" I didn't believe it when Captain Fan told me. "It's wonderful. I knew my father wouldn't abandon me." Captain Hu Jiangxiang, the Imperial fleet stationed on Watchstar and the Imperial commander-in-chief of this Imperial Alliance war, was furious. He hadn't even said a word, and that fool had revealed his identity, completely wasting his carefully planned opportunity. The Imperial Alliance commander's intervention automatically transferred a video feed to the captains of the remaining fleets, preventing the commander-in-chief from harboring undue concerns and leading so many soldiers to betray their country. Now that the 22nd prince has revealed his identity as a prince, those superiors who are not on the same side as the eldest prince will definitely use this as a tactic to prevent him from launching a star war. Hu Jiangxiang was so angry that his mouth was about to twist, but Zhu Yuan seemed not to notice, and only kept praising the generosity of Shen Yu and others. "I thought I would suffer a lot after being captured, but I didn't expect Captain Yi to be so understanding. Not only did he heal my injuries, but he also brought me food every day. By the way, I think the food in the Federal Fleet is good. There is no repetition of breakfast. Lunch and dinner both have 2 meat dishes, 1 vegetable dish and a soup. It's better than the food in our fleet, and that Li Meng, he's really not a good guy." Knowing that I am the 22nd prince, he refused to even give me a special meal. He ate radishes and vegetables all day long and ate me like a rabbit. "When I go back, I must complain to my father and say that he abused me." Zhu Yuan kept complaining. Hu Jiangxiang's face was already very dark. He couldn't bear it anymore and interrupted him. "22nd prince, don't you think you talk too much? Are you talking a lot?" Zhu Yuan blinked in confusion. "I don't think so. I almost forgot. Captain Yi's wife promised to cook a table of delicious food for me, and she said that she would be free to do it after the truce between the 2 sides." He looked at Hu Jiangxiang expectantly. "When can we have a truce?" Hu Jiangxiang forced a smile and said helplessly, "This is not for me to decide. 22nd prince, please don't do it for me." Zhu Yuan was dissatisfied. "Aren't you the commander-in-chief of our empire? As long as you speak to father for peace, are you afraid that he will refuse? Our empire has been stable for decades with great difficulty, and the people have enjoyed a happy life. Why should we let everyone be in the flames of war?" Hu Jiangxiang's heart skipped a beat. The 22nd prince usually didn't care much about political affairs. Even though he was quite capable, he didn't try his best to fight for that position, so he didn't cultivate his own power. But now, he actually said such words. Did he change his mind? If it were any other idle prince, it would be fine, but the 22nd prince has his own strength. His mother is the emperor's favorite concubine, and his uncle is the Yu family, the head of the 5 major families in the Imperial Star. If he has ambitions, I am afraid that the Yu family will not wait to support him to take the throne. Even if he is a little stupid, so what? With the support of a strong mother and uncle, he still has hope of winning the throne. The only solution now is to never let that idiot come back. Hu Jiangxiang was thinking hard about how to keep Zhu Yuan in the Federation, and inevitably overlooked other things. He didn't notice the anxious reports of several deputy captains. Before he could think of anything, the chief pilot shouted in fear, "Captain, they are attacking!" It turned out that after Zhu Yuan came out, the Imperial artillery fire stopped. The fleet behind the Federation took the opportunity to dock and concentrated all the team members on several warships, leaving only a few pilots. After the deployment, the warships full of crew members rushed back to the border star, while the empty warships passed the dozens of main ships in front that had not transferred their crew members and launched an attack. The Federation's unexpected attack completely disrupted the Empire's rhythm. By the time they were scrambling to stop the counterattack, The first dozen or so warships of the Empire had been shot down. Yan Wangxing, you really? Hu Jiangxiang's face turned pale in an instant, and he roared at the people behind him, fight back quickly, we must not let them gain the upper hand. A deputy captain was still a little hesitant, the 22nd prince is still in their hands. Hu Jiangxiang roared with a ferocious face, they have already taken action, should we not take action and wait to die here? Yu Sha, don't forget that you are only the deputy captain. Yu Sha's face was gloomy and uncertain. He was a member of the Yu family and should do his best to protect the 22nd prince, but in this situation, he didn't know how to get him back. Before the connection between the two commanders was severed, Zhu Yuan suddenly howled, Hu Jiangxiang, do you want to abandon this prince? Don't forget your status as a lowly commoner. How can your life be more important than mine? Yu Sha, tell them to retreat immediately. If the fighting continues, I'll be killed by the federals. The fat on Zhu Yuan's face kept shaking, and tears flowed like beads from a broken string. Even in the excitement of crying, he didn't forget to wipe his nose. It was simply unbearable to watch. Yu Sha, who was still hesitant, made up his mind. He turned away and said to Hu Jiangxiang, I'll go check on the energy reserves, it would be better not to have such a shameful prince. After all, he was not the one making the decisions now. Even if something happened to Zhu Yuan, it would not be his responsibility. After Yu Sha left, Zhu Yuan continued to howl for help. Hu Jiangxiang decisively terminated the communication and ordered all fleets, open fire. With the exception of the ship carrying the 22nd prince, destroy all Federation fleets. After all, he was a prince, even if incompetent, he was still the emperor's own flesh and blood. Hu Jiangxiang could only privately hint to his men to focus their fire on the Shen Yu, but he couldn't openly declare his intention to destroy him. What Hu Jiangxiang didn't know was that after he hung up the line, Zhu Yuan, who had been sobbing and snotting, miraculously calmed down. He asked Fan Lei for some wet wipes and wiped his chubby face clean. After wiping his face, Zhu Yuan shook his head and sighed in mock resignation, Captain Hu is still so impulsive. He's so busy calculating on the battlefield that he doesn't pay attention to the enemy's movements or the opinions of his lieutenants. Anyone who paid any attention to his lieutenants would have ignored their warnings and ignored them. Yu Sha's voice was incredibly loud. Father's habit of favoritism hasn't changed. No wonder the empire is in such a mess, Zhu Yuan concluded. A war of aggression isn't so easy to win. Li Enhe smiled gently. If all the princes were as sensible as the 22nd prince, this war wouldn't have broken out. Chapter 706, Not fighting is a mistake. Instead of feeling happy after being praised, Zhu Yuan felt depressed. I said that my brothers were too intolerant. Just because I am smarter and stronger than them, they are envious, jealous and hate me, and try their best to frame me. Li Enhe pretended to be surprised. No way, I heard that you have no intention of playing for the throne, so they don't have to deal with you. Right, that's right. Zhu Yuan felt aggrieved when this was mentioned. You don't know, I have been determined to be an idle prince since I was a child, and travel all over the universe in the future. But just because my uncle's family is relatively powerful, the brothers who want to compete for the throne regard me as a thorn in their eyes. In order to dispel the suspicion of his brothers, Zhu Yuan could only indulge in eating, drinking and having fun, and became a fat and stupid prince. Unexpectedly, because of his high talent for mechas, his father forced him to enter the military academy, and sent his confidants to watch him train hard every day. Zhu Yuan was forced to become a level 5 mecha master before the age of 30, which further displeased all his brothers. He then indulged himself in gluttony and foolishness, even stating that he didn't want to be emperor because it was too tiring. Thanks to Zhu Yuan's tireless efforts, everyone believed he had no ambitions to be emperor, which should have been a good thing, but it was later discovered that this was not the case. The Yu family was powerful, and interested princes repeatedly encountered obstacles in their attempts to win over the family. As a result, they blamed the 22nd prince. Unable to win over such a powerful ally, they must have held out hope for Zhu Yuan, a relative. Gradually, rumors spread across the Imperial Star, claiming that the Yu family, unwilling to let Zhu Yuan remain an idle prince, was secretly plotting something major. The 22nd prince once again became a moving target, and most of his brothers hated him to the core. This time, the Imperial Alliance's concerns were once again strained. The Federation's unexpected declaration of war prompted many to push Zhu Yuan forward, saying, the border needs a distinguished prince to stabilize military morale, and the 22nd prince could also gain some experience, The emperor was initially reluctant, but with the persuasion of his concubines, he decided that Zhu Yuan needed to go out and gain experience, to stop his daily routine of feasting, drinking, and having fun. Zhu Yuan knew this border trip was dangerous, not from the enemy, but from his brothers, who had different agendas. He tried to avoid the mission by acting like a spoiled child, but ultimately failed. Events unfolded as he had anticipated. He was dispatched by the captain to the conflict between the two sides, hoping to find a vulnerable level 5 opponent to spar with. He hoped to survive the battle and survive. However, to Zhu Yuan's surprise, after searching for a long time without finding a suitable opponent for a protracted battle, he ultimately encountered a female enemy, who stunned him and captured him with a tracking missile. However, being captured this time was a blessing in disguise. Although he fell into enemy hands, his injuries were adequately treated, and he received regular nutritional supplements for all 3 meals. Zhu Yuan had always found prisoner life quite comfortable, and after his identity was revealed, he was given his own hospital room and no longer needed nutritional supplements. The food at Shenyu was especially good. If Fan Lei hadn't told him it was just a regular cafeteria meal, he would have thought he was being treated exceptionally well. No training or work every day, just enough to eat and rest in bed. Zhu Yuan's captivity was so satisfying that he didn't even want to return to see his father. This time, when he was dragged out to cause trouble with the imperial captain, he had cooperated perfectly, calling for help before the other captain even spoke, effectively buying time for the Federation. By the time the incident was over, Zhu Yuan knew Hu Jiangxiang wouldn't let him go. This was something he had expected, and he wasn't surprised at all. Seeing Zhu Yuan's face shifting between gloom and brightness, Fan Lei assumed he was regretting the successive bombings of the imperial warships, so he offered reassurance. 9 out of 10 of your imperial warships are likely empty. Even if they're sunk, we won't lose many soldiers. I know, Zhu Yuan said softly. I don't regret it. Losing a few warships isn't a big deal, as long as it forces father to sue for peace. As a leisurely prince, he simply desired a stable homeland, a comfortable and prosperous life. But his father and his brothers, ambitiously plotting against the Federation, had sent him to the front lines to face certain death. His defection wasn't out of hatred for his brother's ruthlessness, but rather because he knew the people of the Empire shared a desire for peace. Seizing the opportunity presented by Hu Jiangxiang's heir to space war, he decided to cooperate with the Federation to teach his eldest brother's confidence a lesson, thus achieving peace at the lowest possible cost. Fan Lei admired Zhu Yuan's generosity, but he knew he had no intention of deceiving him, so he didn't bring it up again and simply sent him back to his room to rest. Zhu Yuan, who had been feeling a surge of emotion just now, suddenly remembered something very important. Didn't we agree to cooperate obediently? I'll have your captain's wife prepare a feast for me later. Even though Shen Yu's food was good, the 22nd prince, accustomed to indulgence, still missed a feast. Before Fan Lei dragged him to the cockpit, he had negotiated a deal with him. If he helped distract Hu Jiangxiang and allow the Federation fleet time to relocate its members, he would prepare a feast with no fewer than 10 meat dishes. Zhu Yuan, still obsessed with the feast, insisted that it not be prepared by robots. After much hesitation, Fan Lei finally agreed to let Lin Miaomiao do it. The matter wasn't even over yet, and the prince was already demanding his feast. Fan Lei couldn't bring himself to do it, so he could only gently soothe him. It takes time to prepare a feast. Our captain's wife is still on the second ship. Let's talk about it after we are done. Zhu Yuan's expression suddenly changed, and he bared his teeth in a sinister accusation. You're trying to shirk your responsibility. Fan Lei was speechless. It was just a meal. Why would he tarnish his reputation over it? Thinking he might not get another chance to fight in a mecha battle this time, he simply agreed and went to Lin Miaomiao to prepare the feast. After repeatedly assuring him that he would immediately begin preparing the feast, Fan Lei fled. The door closed, and Zhu Yuan's smile faded. He habitually touched his neck. The communicator hanging there had been searched and gone, long before he woke up. Mother, I've missed you, Zhu Yuan said, looking dejectedly at the bed before sitting on the floor. At this moment, he longed to see his mother, or even to speak to her, but Alice, he didn't have the chance. Thinking of the happy time he spent with his mother, Zhu Yuan's eyes gradually became moist. He wanted to go back to the Emperor Star, but he knew that he could not go back. All the brothers knew that the eldest brother was cruel. This time, he sent him to the Watchstar by any means possible, just to keep him in the universe forever. Zuyuran did not want to die. He wanted to act coquettishly with his mother more, but the eldest brother would not tolerate it. Now he tried every means to put him to death, which forced him to fight. Eldest brother, today our brotherhood is over, and from now on, we will rely on our own abilities. Chapter 707, Drive Away. Aboard the Federation warship, the Empire's 22nd prince secretly resolved to seize the throne, though no one witnessed it. Meanwhile, Lin Miaomiao, unknowingly burdened with a delicious meal, had already relocated with the main force to Ship 9, returning to the border star base. Even after returning to base, the group remained on board, awaiting orders. No one knew if they would be called into action, and they could not leave the ship until the Imperial fleet withdrew. With thousands of people aboard Ship 9, there was no room in the lounge. Everyone settled haphazardly on the ground near the ship's entrance and in the corridors, some silently awaiting the outcome, others quietly chatting with their teammates. Those aboard the main ship had not been relocated, leaving Lin Miaomiao distraught. Her husband and eldest brother were both aboard the Shanghai, and now, with the inexplicable interstellar war now underway, they were unable to squeeze into the lounge to observe the battle between the warships. She was deeply anxious. Feng Licken knew what she was thinking and whispered, "Although we suffered a small loss at the beginning because we were caught off guard, the commander-in-chief reacted in time and is now fighting back. I believe we will be the winner of this war." "I believe it too," Lin Miaomiao pouted. It's not that she didn't believe in her own strength, but it's normal for her to be a little worried when her family is in danger. It's a blessing to have friends by your side when you're anxious, but Lin Miaomiao was worried about the safety of her family and felt uneasy even on the ground. At this moment, Fan Lei's boss came to the door and asked Lin Miaomiao to cook a big meal for the Prince of the Empire. As a reward for him, Lin Miaomiao refused without hesitation. "I'm not in the mood now and don't want to do it." Fan Lei knew what she was worried about, so he persuaded her. "The main ship has been hiding in the back and there will be no danger at all. In addition, the Empire has fewer warships than ours, and the counterattack just now caught them off guard. There is no need to worry that we will lose." "I know we won't lose," Lin Miaomiao said with a wooden face, "but not losing doesn't mean there is no danger. I'm very worried." She suddenly had the task of cooking a big meal. It would be fine if she had nothing to do, but now her mind was on the battlefield, so how could she have the mind to cook? Seeing no sign of persuasion, Fan Lei didn't force her and simply instructed her, "Since you're not in the mood right now, when this is over, you have to prepare a feast. Make sure there are no fewer than 10 meat dishes. Don't worry, the Empire has fewer warships than we do, so we'll be the only ones to win." Lin Miaomiao nodded randomly. "I'll go to the Shenyu when this is over. The mess hall on Ship 9 can't be used." Ship 9 had strong defenses but relatively weak offensive capabilities. Originally a warship used to transport energy and minerals, there were few people on board. When they came to eat, they docked with other ships, and robots brought them food. So, even if Fan Lei successfully persuaded Lin Miaomiao to prepare a feast now, it would be useless without the mess hall. "I'd completely forgotten about this. I'll just have to wait until it's over. You can think about the menu first." Of course, Fan Lei couldn't stay with her the entire conversation. He cut her off impatiently after receiving the confirmation. The friends who had been silent just now were now speaking up. "Captain Fan is being rude to ask you to cook at this time. You shouldn't have agreed to his request." Lin Miaomiao shook her head and laughed. "He's not craving to eat. He's just running errands." The 22nd Prince of the Empire was truly a peculiar individual. He'd actually aided his enemies just for his stuttering. He was incredibly magnanimous. To distract herself, Lin Miaomiao began planning the dinner menu. Since she was going to cook a feast, she might as well cook a few more dishes to feed Yi Hongwen and her eldest brother. Fan Lei required no fewer than 10 meat dishes, but there were no restrictions on the other options. Listing the menu was simple, mostly featuring dishes he was known for. In less than half an hour, Lin Miaomiao had compiled a menu consisting of 12 meat dishes, 4 vegetarian dishes, and a soup. The ingredients for these dishes were all available in her space button. The cafeteria's fresh keeping and cold storage also had a fair amount of ingredients, but the variety wasn't extensive. Several of the dishes on her menu didn't have enough ingredients, so it would be better to order directly from her space button. With the menu ready, Lin Miaomiao began to worry. "I don't know when this will end. I hope Yi Hongwen and my brother are okay." Her thoughts raced as she finally received a text from the captains on her communicator. The Imperial fleet has withdrawn. Everyone, please return to the dorms and rest. The people sitting on the ground, awaiting the news, cheered. They knew our great Federation was untouchable. They used all these tactics, but we still defeated them. I heard the Empire lost no fewer than 50 warships this time, but we're better off, only losing a little over 20, someone confided mysteriously. There were still hundreds of crew members on the main ship, all from the same fleet. It was inevitable that they would know someone on the battlefield, so it was natural to ask for information. Lin Miaomiao was heading to the Shenyu soon, but she didn't bother asking anyone about the situation. She simply followed the main force off the ship. Only then did she realize that the number 9 ship was still alone at the landing platform. Miaomiao, we're going back to the dorms. Do you want to come? Lin Yin asked. No, as you know, Captain Fan asked me to prepare a feast for the Empire's 22nd prince. That prince can't disembark, so it's more convenient to do it aboard the Shenyu. Lin Yin and the others had just been by Lin Miaomiao's side, watching her entire reception. They didn't say much, just a few jokes before running off. After waiting for a few more minutes, the rest of the fleet's warships still hadn't returned. Lin Miaomiao, impatient, ran to the other embarkation platforms to check, only to discover that, aside from the evacuated warships, none had returned. They must have been chasing too far and won't be back for a while, Lin Miaomiao muttered, ultimately returning to her fleet's temporary embarkation platform to await the return of the other warships. Soon, warships landed one after another. Lin Miaomiao simply watched from the boarding passage, not moving forward to wait. After all the warships had landed, Lin Miaomiao finally emerged from the landing gate. Her first reaction was to count how many ships had returned. They were all. Our Shenyu is truly remarkable. For every warship that went out, the same number returned. At most, some damage was done to the hull. Lin Miaomiao was standing at the first landing gate, muttering to herself when the doors of the warships opened and the crew filed out. Seeing her waiting nearby, they remained silent, exchanged familiar glances, and then fled. After waiting until no one from the main ship had left, Lin Miaomiao headed back up. She didn't go to the captain's room to find Yu Hongwen, but headed straight for the second-floor mess hall. It was already getting late, and if she didn't hurry, dinner would be late. The robots in the main ship's kitchen had been relocated to the temporary mess hall at the base, leaving only a single, dumb robot. Lin Miaomiao figured she wouldn't have to cook much, so having someone to help would be enough. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 708 Brother and Sister Discussion. After barely managing to prepare 2 tables of feasts before 5:30, Lin Miaomiao sent a text message to Yu Hongwen, informing him to bring people to the restaurant for dinner. Zhu Yuan was a prince of the empire and had not yet shown any hostility towards the Federation. Even as a prisoner, the people of Shenyu would not treat him poorly. Fan Lei personally went to take him to the restaurant, where several captains personally accompanied him for dinner. Zhu Yuan was very kind and tried hard to invite Lin Miaomiao to dine at the same table, but she never liked such social gatherings and declined politely, saying that she had something to discuss with her brother. Lin Miaomiao did have something to discuss with her brother. Her sister-in-law had sent her a message last night, saying that she was bored at home and wanted to find something to do, but her family would not let her, so she asked her for help. In Ren Jiaojiao's words, it was boring to stay at home to take care of the baby, and if she didn't find something to do, she would get moldy. The pregnant woman had a special physical condition, so Lin Miaomiao was not confident in finding a job for her. She could only perfunctorily say that she would think about it, and then turned around to discuss it with her eldest brother. After hearing what the girl said, Lin Xianhao's face turned bitter. You're pregnant, why are you so restless? The brother and sister did not avoid others during their conversation. The team leaders at the same table all laughed. Liu Yifei pinched his voice and said, Lin Xianhao, you are a heartless man. When you were in love, you called me little darling, but now you're a pregnant woman. You despise me for not being quiet. Lin Miaomiao shuddered all over and couldn't help looking at him with disgust. Liu Erho, can you be more normal? Even food can't shut your mouth. I saw that the atmosphere was too serious, so I was joking with you. Liu Yifei touched his head and acted honest. But he has always been lively and couldn't pretend for long. In the blink of an eye, he put on a righteous look and accused, "Little cook, it's not good for you to do this. You don't know how to be a good person. Eat your food." Lin Xianhao blocked his mouth with a bone. "This is our Lin family's family affair. You'd better shut up." Liu Yifei curled his lips. "If it's a family matter, just talk about it in private. Why are you still nagging at the dinner table? Isn't this affecting his appetite?" He rolled his eyes and saw Yu Hongwen at the next table. Liu Yifei showed a sinister smile on his face. "Actually, the little cook has already married the eldest brother, so she is not a member of the Lin family anymore." Lin Miaomiao slammed the table, and cold air kept coming out of her body. "Even if I get married, I am still the daughter of the Lin family." Lin Xianhao shared the same hatred and the enemy. "Liu Yifei, that's enough. Don't try to sow discord between us brothers and sisters, otherwise don't repair your mecha for me." Shen Yu now has more armor repairers, and also dug a 6th level armor repairer from other fleets, but that armor repairer is proud of his status and will not help repair anything except the 6th level mecha. Among the remaining armor repairers, Lin Xianhao is the most powerful, and several team leaders like to ask him to repair their mechas. Seeing that his attempts to sow discord had failed and instead provoked a joint counterattack from the Lin siblings, Liu Yifei lowered his head and began to eat his meal. "This steamed pork with rice flour is delicious today, not at all greasy." What a master at adapting to the situation, Fan Lei couldn't help but sigh. "Thank you for the compliment," Liu Yifei said naturally, not even blushing. "We're in the same fleet, so we're all family, so it's better to be casual with our words." Lin Miaomiao curled her lips. Her face was incredibly thick, just as thick as Yu Hongwen's. It really is true that the soldiers are like their superiors. They had originally intended to discuss the issue of their sister-in-law today, and now that Liu Yifei had stopped disrupting things, they felt relieved. The siblings gathered together and whispered quietly. Lin Xianhao said, "Your sister-in-law is over 3 months pregnant. Even if she's relatively stable now, it's not safe for her to go out to work with such a big belly. We should persuade her to stay home and recuperate." Lin Miaomiao agreed with this idea. She just wanted her little nephew to be born safely, so she didn't want her sister-in-law looking for work at this time. Besides, she's a soldier. Even if she's taking leave because she's pregnant and it's inconvenient for her to train, it's not easy for her to find a job outside. The problem is, Renjiao can't sit still. With a baby in her belly, she can't browse the Star Network often. She also finds shopping in physical stores boring after a while, so she just wants to find something to do. Lin Miaomiao hesitated and suggested, "Why don't we talk to Dad and let your sister-in-law go to Heguang's Mecha Club on Shaoyin Star to help her avoid getting bored? The Mecha Club is always busy, and she has a bad temper. It would be bad if she got into an argument with a colleague or a customer," Lin Xianhao said, feeling a headache at the thought of his wife's fiery temper. "No way, sister-in-law isn't someone who doesn't know the importance of things," Lin Miaomiao scoffed. Seeing her brother still worried, she abandoned the idea and offered another one. The manager of the Lin Family Grand Hotel's Shaoyingsing branch has recently taken a long vacation. How about letting sister-in-law take over for a while? Initially, considering her sister-in-law was pregnant and couldn't overwork herself, she'd considered having her go to Heguang to help out. But if her brother was worried, they should probably find someone else. After all, the hotel's management system was already standardized, and the manager's responsibilities were limited to supervising the managers. Lin Xianhao was still unhappy. Why bother with all this when you're pregnant? Aren't you afraid of getting tired? She should just stay home and take care of the baby, giving him a plump baby. The younger sister, too, didn't help or persuade her, but instead offered her a job. Her brother was against her sister-in-law looking for a job. Lin Miaomiao understood his intentions and feared he might even be taking his anger out on her. But that was understandable. Pregnant women these days are the apple of their eye. Thinking of looking for a job at that moment is a pipe dream. If she were pregnant, she would probably receive the same treatment. The only difference would be that she would be sent to the Yi family to nurse the baby. By then, she would be staying home every day, being fed and pampered by her elders. It would be no different from raising pigs. The thought of this made Lin Miaomiao feel terrible. She seemed to have forgotten something, but when she thought about it seriously, she couldn't remember it. She could only let it go for the time being. As a woman herself, Lin Miaomiao felt that she would have the same experience sooner or later. She couldn't help but feel a little sympathy for her sister-in-law's treatment. She advised her brother, "Pregnant women need to stay happy while nursing the baby. Your sister-in-law has nothing to do every day, and you're not around. She's very likely to suffer from pregnancy syndrome. It's better to let her do something to distract her." Lin Miaomiao hesitated after hearing what his sister said. At this time, GK, who had been listening for a long time, couldn't help but interrupt. "The little cook is right. Miaomiao, just listen to her. Qian has a restless personality. If she is too restrained, she might cause trouble, for example, running away from home." Thinking about his wife's temper, she would indeed do such a thing when pushed into a corner. Lin Miaomiao did not blame his wife for not helping to persuade others, but seriously considered letting his wife go to the Mecha club to play soy sauce or go to a restaurant to take over the position of store manager. Chapter 709, Sister-in-law and sister-in-law have a quarrel. Lin Miaomiao didn't want his wife to run around with a heavy belly, but he also knew her temper. If he firmly disagreed, she might actually threaten to run away from home. After much deliberation, Lin Miaomiao decided to talk to his parents-in-law and see what they thought. If the two elders were fine with it, he wouldn't have any objections. After finishing dinner absent-mindedly, Lin Miaomiao hurriedly left the table. Lin Miaomiao didn't care for his answer and continued eating, filling her stomach before putting down her chopsticks. She turned to look at the next table. Zuyuan, with his face full of fat, was still tucking into his meal. Yi Hongwen and the other two seemed to have finished their meal, but they didn't want to leave, so they held their drinks and talked. Lin Miaomiao was bored sitting there, and figuring Yi Hongwen would need quite a while, she simply said goodbye to the others and left the table. "Miaomiao, wait for me," GK said, finishing his bowl in a few bites, then followed him out the door with puffy cheeks. Lin Miaomiao was surprised. "Are you full?" "I'm full," GK nodded. In fact, she had been full for a long time. The food tonight was delicious. It was a rare opportunity to eat, so she was reluctant to put down her chopsticks. It was just that the private room was full of men, and she didn't know what to talk about sitting there. Plus, after getting to know each other, these men liked to make some dirty jokes when they got together, so GK didn't bother to dirty her ears. Lin Miaomiao and GK knew each other, but they didn't interact much. Even when they lived in the same dormitory, they didn't find any topics to talk about. When they arrived at the dormitory door, Lin Miaomiao separated from her and didn't invite her in to sit down. GK, on the other hand, didn't rush to leave after Lin Miaomiao went in. She stared at the door with her lips pursed in a daze. When Zixi came back a moment later than the two girls. On the way back to the dormitory, she saw GK standing in front of the boss's dormitory door in a daze, and her brows couldn't help but frown. What happened to Song Jiaqi that night wasn't just an accident. The ship's gate had been closed the entire time, and no one other than the captain and the squadron leaders could have commanded the main pilot to open it. Lin Miaomiao had reported to Yi Hongwen and even had a legitimate reason for bringing her friends aboard. Song Jiaqi was just a new recruit, only a few months on board. How could she possibly have commanded Zhao Cheng? Following Yi Hongwen's instructions, when Zixi went to the cockpit to find the pilot on duty and retrieve the security footage from the ship's gate that day, they discovered that GK had secretly brought Song Jiaqi aboard. Upon learning the truth, Yi Hongwen had Song Chengtai intervene and warn her. Only then did she admit that she and Song Jiaqi were cousins. Her cousin had pleaded with her to retrieve something, and she had agreed out of pity, never realizing the complications that would ensue. GK was cheerful and generous, and she usually spoke to Lin Miaomiao, so everyone believed her explanation. But now it seems there might be something more to the story that night. When Zixi harbored doubts, but remained impassive, he strode over, patted her shoulder, and smiled gently. "Why are you sitting here in a daze instead of going back to your room to sleep? Are you trying to guard the gate with a captain's wife?" GK's face paled slightly when someone suddenly tapped her shoulder, and given the awkward position she was standing in, she quickly recovered and smiled. "I was just talking to Miaomiao." She never mentioned why she was standing there in a daze, simply saying she was sleepy and needed to go back to her room for bed. After watching GK return to her room, when Zixi's expression darkened, his title of military advisor wasn't earned for nothing. He'd noticed something was wrong with GK, but he just couldn't believe it. "I hope I'm overthinking it. She has a husband and children." When Zixi sighed softly, secretly resolving to be more careful in the future. Lin Miaomiao didn't know what Wen Zixi was worried about. Although she tried to make friends with the people she interacted with, for some reason, she couldn't seem to get along with GK whenever she ran into her. But she didn't care. GK was much older than her in age, and was even 2 months older than Yi Hongwen. It was normal for him to have nothing to say to her. After saying goodbye to GK, Lin Miaomiao took a bath and went to bed to rest. She felt exhausted from all the physical training. She felt very uncomfortable sitting on the ship today, and she felt tired when cooking in the afternoon. Now she just wanted to have a good sleep. But before she fell asleep, her sister-in-law Ren Jiaojiao sent her a message, so she could only force herself to answer it. "Miaomiao, you have to help me," Ren Jiaojiao said angrily. She looked very good now. She was raised plump by her mother Ren, and her skirts were much looser. Fortunately, she had delicate eyebrows and eyes, and looked round and smooth, not ugly at all. After Lin Miaomiao knew that she was pregnant, her temper became even more impatient, so she tried to raise the corners of her mouth and pretend to smile. "What's wrong? Who bullied my sister-in-law? Stop laughing." Ren Jiaojiao frowned and said with disgust, "You look better with a dull face. You look so ugly when you laugh. You're going to scare your nephew." Lin Miaomiao's mouth immediately straightened. Her sister-in-law was as unlovable as ever. She really wanted to hang up. Feeling a little awkward, Lin Miaomiao's tone was not enthusiastic. She just said with a wooden face, "Are you looking for me to find fault? It's okay, I'm hanging up." Ren Jiaojiao was dumbfounded. She said the wrong thing in the impulse and seemed to have made her sister-in-law angry. What should she do now? Seeing her sister-in-law about to hang up over a disagreement, Ren Jiaojiao offered a fawning smile. "Miaomiao, don't be so impulsive. I have something important to do." Lin Miaomiao didn't care if her sister-in-law was pregnant or what she was thinking about. She said coldly, "That's unfortunate. I have a terrible headache tonight and want to go to bed early. We'll talk tomorrow if you have anything to say." Without waiting for a reply from Ren Jiaojiao, she hung up the phone and slowly sank back into bed, finding a comfortable position for sleep. After Lin Miaomiao's interstellar journey, she only felt awkward for the first 6 months. She treated her family with care, but privately, she often read the original owner's diary and wrote to herself to help her adjust to her new life. Perhaps it was because of the Lin family's pampering that she adapted quickly, almost to the point of being pampered. Essentially, she and her sister-in-law, Ren Jiaojiao, were both spoiled brats, speaking and acting without restraint. The only difference was her expressionless expression, which concealed her emotions. Lying in bed, Lin Miaomiao sadly found herself unable to sleep. She reflected on her overreaction. Knowing her sister-in-law was pregnant and joking, she hadn't reacted so violently and killed her. She hesitated over whether to send her a text message to apologize, but was too embarrassed. After rolling around in bed for a long time, she couldn't find the courage to take the initiative. So she ostrich compiled a heartfelt apology text message, saying that she was probably too tired and had been inexplicably angry these days. After sending the text message for a long time without a response, Lin Miaomiao nervously sent a text message to her brother to admit her mistake, but the message fell on deaf ears. Finally, Lin Miaomiao became depressed and decided to go to bed after pulling up the quilt. Chapter 710, Sister-in-law and sister-in-law have a quarrel. For some reason, Lin Miaomiao felt rather aggrieved. She had diligently responded to her sister-in-law's request, but she'd been making fun of her expressionless face. This had happened before, but she'd ignored it. They were all family, so why would they argue over such a trivial matter? But today, she felt so exhausted and just wanted to get some rest. But her sister-in-law's text message, instead of addressing serious matters, had instead been full of jokes, which made her feel strangely uncomfortable. Even if she's pregnant, she can't just use her belly to be unreasonable, Lin Miaomiao thought stubbornly, determined. Even if her brother and sister-in-law accused her of losing her temper with a pregnant woman, she wouldn't give in. My sister-in-law is getting more and more willful, she decided, and she closed her eyes contentedly and fell asleep. Half an hour after she fell asleep, 2 text messages rang in quick succession on her communicator. Perhaps because she was so exhausted, she slept so soundly that she didn't even notice Yi Hongwen returned before 9 o'clock. The next morning, Lin Miaomiao, a rare sight, didn't open her eyes at 6 o'clock. Yi Hongwen, seeing she'd forgotten to get up, was about to wake her when he noticed an unconcealed look of fatigue on her dark face. Remembering the busy and tiring days he'd been living on since arriving at the border defense planet, Yi Hongwen hesitated for a moment before sending a text message to Wen Zixi, requesting a day off for his wife. It was already past 10 when Lin Miaomiao opened her eyes. She checked her communicator and was shocked to discover that not only had she skipped morning exercises, but she was also over 2 hours late for her morning training. It had been years since she'd been locked up in the dark room. Was she about to repeat the experience? Judging by the marks on the bed, Yi Hongwen had come back to sleep the previous night, but he hadn't bothered to remind her to get up this morning. This put Lin Miaomiao in a bad mood, as if she'd turned into a firecracker, almost ready to go off. Yi Bingshan, you deserve a beating. You're going to tear up the roof after a few days of not getting a beating, Lin Miaomiao muttered unhappily. Even though she didn't do morning exercises and was late for the morning training, Lin Miaomiao decided to rush to the playground. After all, she had made a big mistake and couldn't make it again. She quickly changed into her training clothes and was about to go out to the playground, but she found a lunchbox on the bedside table with a small note underneath. After hesitating for a while, Lin Miaomiao decided to delay for a while, so she pulled out the small note, only to find that it was a message from Yi Hongwen. So he asked for leave for me, he's really nosy, Lin Miaomiao muttered softly, but she was so happy in her heart that she didn't know what to do. She thought she would have to lie in the small dark room for a few days again, but she didn't expect that her man had asked for leave for her. Since she had asked for leave today, she didn't have to rush to the playground. She opened the insulated lunchbox and saw her favorite fried noodles and meat buns inside, which made her feel a little better. After a hearty breakfast, Lin Miaomiao walked around the room for a while. After walking for about 10 minutes, she felt her eyelids getting heavy and her stomach aching. Then she remembered that her period, which was supposed to come a few days ago, hadn't come yet. She was usually very punctual, but this time it was a few days late without her noticing. I was so tired that I didn't even remember that my period hadn't come. With a sigh, she took her sanitary products to the bathroom. Seeing that there was indeed blood on her underwear, she put on the sanitary products and went back to the bedroom. After sitting for a while, she still felt uncomfortable, so she changed into pajamas and prepared to go back to sleep. When she woke up again, it was 12 o'clock in the afternoon. She was woken up by Yi Hongwen. Lin Miaomiao blinked in the quilt and asked curiously, "Didn't you ask for leave for me? Why did you call me up?" Yi Hongwen didn't know whether to laugh or cry. No matter how tired she was, she should eat. It was not a good thing to always miss meals. He looked at his wife's face and found that although her complexion had improved a lot, she was still tired, so he smiled and said, "Get up and eat. If you are still sleepy, wait until you eat." "I don't want to get up." Lin Miaomiao wrapped herself tightly in the quilt like a spoiled child. "Breakfast was late, I'd better eat later." Yi Hongwen did not refuse, and immediately changed his clothes to accompany his wife for a nap. At 2 o'clock in the afternoon, Yi Hongwen got up quietly to do something. Lin Miaomiao, who was a little full of sleep, was still lying lazily in bed, not wanting to move. "You don't look very good, are you sick?" Yi Hongwen suggested with a frown. "Let me take you to the infirmary." "No need," Lin Miaomiao refused. "I just have a stomach ache because of my period. The doctors in the infirmary are good at treating injuries and performing surgery, but they are not good at treating women's illnesses. In her case, she just needs to endure it and she will be back to normal in 2 days at most." After rejecting Yi Hongwen's proposal and sending him out to do some work, Lin Miaomiao lazily lay in bed, unwilling to get up. She looked through the communicator and discovered that both her elder brother and sister-in-law had sent messages last night. Lin Xianhao said, "Your sister-in-law wouldn't be so petty. How could she be angry?" "Stop imagining this," Ren Jiaojiao said. "Sister, it's all my fault. I knew you were tired on the front lines, but I still joked with you. Please forgive me, okay?" Almost not long after the text message was sent, Ren Jiaojiao sent a message, "I'm afraid you've been tired these days." Lin Miaomiao half leaned against the headboard, not wanting to get up or continue lying down, just leisurely waiting to see what her sister-in-law wanted to say. Hearing Ren Jiaojiao ask if she was tired, she nodded subconsciously, and then realized something was wrong. "I don't even want to get up after a good sleep." The aunt and sister-in-law exchanged a few words, but the atmosphere was a little awkward like last night. Ren Jiao hesitated for a long time before saying, I was talking to your brother on the phone last night. I didn't mean to ignore you. Lin Miaomiao understood. No wonder the couple sent her text messages at the same time later. It was just a small incident last night. Although Lin Miaomiao felt awkward, she would not dwell on it. She just shook her head and said, It's okay, I thought I made you unhappy. Not wanting to dwell on the awkwardness of last night, Lin Miaomiao took the initiative to bring it up. What did my sister-in-law want to talk to me about last night? Did your brother bully you? Yeah, Ren Jiao nodded with a blushing face. I tried to persuade him but he refused to let me work. He only thought about the baby in my belly, as if he was the only one who was worried about the baby. Lin Miaomiao turned her head helplessly and rolled her eyes. This was obviously for the good of her sister-in-law, but her sister-in-law, who had been spoiled by her parents and husband, didn't think so. Sister-in-law, Lin Miaomiao advised kindly, why don't you just forget it? Your brother is just afraid that you'll be tired. Besides, he must have made the decision after discussing with your uncle and aunt last night. You can't blame him for being too authoritarian. Ren Jiao pouted. Sure enough, her family and her husband had joined forces. But in this case, she couldn't ask Miaomiao to help persuade her, because the hardest person to convince was not Lin Xianhao but Ren's mother. Chapter 711, Brother's Plan. Ren Jiao knew full well that the restrictions on her work were for her own good, but she didn't enjoy such a life. Even with a baby in her belly, she wasn't completely useless. My mom is too strict. She doesn't allow me to do this or go out that day. She doesn't let me eat a lot of things, even small amounts. If this continues, I'll go crazy. Feeling increasingly aggrieved, Ren Jiao made up her mind. I don't want to stay home to nurse my baby anymore. I'm going to ask my boss to return to the fleet. Lin Miaomiao wanted to object, saying it was too dangerous in the fleet. What if something happened? Plus, the doctors stationed there didn't have much expertise in obstetrics and gynecology, making prenatal checkups difficult. But seeing her sister-in-law's reddened eyes, she felt unsure what to say. If she were pregnant and staying home to nurse her baby, unable to eat her favorite foods or go out, she'd probably be driven crazy, too. It wasn't that Ren's mother was abusing her daughter, but rather that elders were always cautious with their pregnant relatives, preferring strict control over the child to avoid any problems for the mother or the baby. With such difficult times, it's no wonder her sister-in-law doesn't want to stay home. Lin Miaomiao shook her head and sighed. They were on the border planet, unable to visit the Ren family, and she had no way of knowing how Ren's mother was caring for her daughter. But she knew her sister-in-law's mental state wasn't right. And if things continued like this, something bad might happen. With a bad feeling, Lin Miaomiao made a quick decision. Sister-in-law, you should stay at Chen Guang's apartment. You have access to my apartment, right? Let Lolly take care of you temporarily, but before that, she had to contact Lin Yuhei. Lolly was skilled and caring, but unfortunately, she didn't have a program specifically programmed to care for pregnant women. Besides, Lin Miaomiao was used to having a lolly nanny and didn't want to give her away. She wanted to find a good intelligent robot for her sister-in-law. She could have her father custom make a robot butler for her. After all, she was his daughter-in-law, pregnant with his grandson, so a good one was the right thing to do. Ren Jiao didn't know why her sister-in-law suddenly changed her mind, but it didn't stop her from brightening up. Normally, one should ask one's husband for help in such matters, but Lin Xianhao was known for his stubborn nature and his obedience to his elders. He wouldn't challenge his mother-in-law unless she agreed. For example, last night, Lin Miaomiao had seriously discussed her sister-in-law's situation with her eldest brother, hoping to find Ren Jiao a minor, undemanding job. But after barely making the first move in front of her in-laws, she was dismissed. Upon hearing this news, Ren Jiao lashed out at Lin Xianhao and then turned to her sister-in-law for help. Ren Jiao knew Lin Miaomiao was a treasured member of the Lin family, and her quick thinking meant that even if she couldn't convince the elders, a temporary reprieve wouldn't be difficult. Upon hearing her sister-in-law's decision, Ren Jiao finally breathed a sigh of relief. They had known each other for so many years, and she trusted her sister-in-law's abilities. She happily said, "Then I'll tell my mother to take a bus to Chen Guang's place to stay." Then, she closed the door and went to pack her things. Wait? Lin Miaomiao rolled her eyes to stop her sister-in-law's impulsiveness. "I promised you to live there, but not now. And certainly not for you to go by yourself, a pregnant woman driving 2 or 3 hours alone to a remote place. What if she encounters something on the way? Ren Jiaojiao's face fell. You can't go back on your word if you agree. If you do, I will. After thinking for a long time, she didn't know how to threaten. Ever since she got pregnant, Ren Jiaojiao's IQ has been below standard, and she didn't even know what to say to threaten. What will you do? Lin Miaomiao asked curiously. I will. After racking her brains for a long time, Ren Jiaojiao's eyes lit up, and she completed the threat triumphantly. I will not give you a niece, only a nephew. Isn't everyone in the Lin family looking forward to giving birth to a cute baby girl? This threat will definitely work well. Ren Jiaojiao praised her wit. But she had miscalculated. While the entire Lin family was hoping for a daughter, Lin Miaomiao wasn't one of them. Not only was her sister-in-law's decision about the baby's gender beyond her control, if the Lin family had another girl, Lin Miaomiao, the treasured child, would fall from favor. For Lin Miaomiao, a girl would be good, but a boy would be even better. But there was no need to dwell on that. Lin Miaomiao tutted her lips with regret. Pregnancy makes a woman 3 years stupid, she said. Seeing my sister-in-law like this, I'm afraid I'll get pregnant. What if she turns out to be stupid? What are you talking about? Ren Jiaojiao couldn't believe her ears. Her sister-in-law calling her stupid right in front of her was like a stab in the heart. Speak clearly, or I'll fight you. Ren Jiaojiao completely forgot about the child in her belly and was determined to fight her annoying sister-in-law to the death. Lin Miaomiao yawned, covering her mouth with her hands, and said lightly, You'd better give birth to the baby in your belly before you come to duel with me. He was no match for her before she got pregnant, and even less so after she got pregnant. If Ren Jiaojiao wasn't her sister-in-law, she wouldn't bother to pay attention to this pregnant woman who suddenly lost her mind. You bully me, Ren Jiaojiao said with tears in her eyes. She was not really stupid. She knew she couldn't beat him, so why would she attack him without knowing her own strength? A willful sister-in-law was easy to deal with, but a sister-in-law who pretended to be pitiful was difficult to deal with. Lin Miaomiao had no choice but to coax her. Okay, I was just joking with you, don't cry. In a few days, I will send a message to Aunt Ren saying that something happened in Wei Junin's family and asked you to go to Chengguang to help. Really? Ren Jiaojiao asked with tears in her eyes. Really? Lin Miaomiao answered her in a decisive tone. Ren Jiaojiao burst into laughter. Miaomiao, you are so kind, I knew I was right to ask you. No wonder Xian Heo said, realizing that she had let the cat out of the bag. Ren Jiaojiao immediately covered her mouth with her hands, her eyes rolling around, and there was no tear in her eyes. What did Big Brother say? Lin Miaomiao had a bad premonition, as if she had been tricked. No, nothing. Ren Jiaojiao shook her head vigorously, and then shouted in feigned surprise. Oh, why is it so late? No wonder I feel a little hungry. I have to go drink the pork rib soup that my mother stewed. Let's talk again when I have time after being hung up. Lin Miaomiao, who realized something was wrong, called back, but heard a busy tone. The facts were already in front of her. Ren Jiaojiao came to her for help not because her big brother rejected a request, but because the couple conspired to find her to be the first to do so. Lin, Tian, how? Lin Miaomiao shouted word by word, you actually plotted against your own sister. Do you think I don't dare to beat you up? She would naturally do what she promised, because most of what Ren Jiaojiao said was true. She also wanted her nephews and nieces to be born safely. As for the eldest brother who plotted against his sister, he should get retribution. Chapter 712, Come and Fight. Although she had agreed to her sister-in-law's help, Lin Miaomiao didn't plan to start right away. She wouldn't feel well for the next 2 days, so she decided to wait until she felt better. 2 days passed, and Lin Miaomiao's stomach ache was gone, but she was still very sad. She had only been on Border Star for a month, but her health was already a little off. Not only was her period delayed for a few days, but she was also pregnant after just 2 days, and the amount of semen was pitifully small. Could she have been sunburned? Or perhaps, she was too nervous during her first battle, leading to endocrine disorders. In any case, Lin Miaomiao was certain that something was wrong with her body, but there was nothing she could do. There was no gynecologist on Border Star to regulate her body, so she could only wait until the war was over. After a while of being melancholy alone, she received a call from Ren Jiaojiao asking, how's it going? However, She had waited for 2 days without any news, and she was so anxious that she was about to tear off the roof. Lin Miaomiao soothed with a stony face, "You've endured it for a month, so what's the harm in a few more days?" Ren Jiao stamped her feet. "I can't stand it for even a day. If you don't find a solution for me, I'll run away from home. You're so childish." Lin Miaomiao was speechless, but she was pregnant, and as the soon-to-be aunt, she could only accept it. "I'll talk to Aunt Ren after this morning's training." Satisfied with her sister-in-law's promise, Ren Jiao hung up the phone. For a pregnant woman, even the half-hour break after the fleet's breakfast was quite challenging, considering pregnant women tend to go to bed early and wake up late. Ren Jiao was filled with anticipation, but Lin Miaomiao was torn. Her brother and sister-in-law had framed her for a difficult matter, and she didn't know how to approach it. If she wasn't careful, they might think she, a mere daughter, disliked her sister-in-law and even took advantage of her pregnancy. Humph! Pregnancy? So they could plot against her poor sister just because she was pregnant. After rolling her eyes a few times in her head, Lin Miaomiao calmly left the dormitory and headed for the playground. After running around the base that morning, she felt a discomfort in her chest, as if something was churning in her stomach, so she skipped breakfast. By the time she arrived at the playground, everyone was already lined up. Fortunately, it wasn't even 8 o'clock yet, so she wasn't late. "Miaomiao, are you still feeling unwell?" Lin Yin asked with concern. Feng Licken and Bai Jin, not far away, also cast concerned glances. Lin Miaomiao nodded. "Maybe I ran too hard this morning. My stomach is a little upset. I'll feel better after resting." "You should have asked for leave if you weren't feeling well," Feng Licken scolded her. "Training takes time. Staying healthy is more important." Lin Yin nodded in agreement. "You're just too impatient. You're obviously younger than us, but you want to be ahead of us in everything. What good will a few days of rest do? It can't be helped. If I don't work harder, how can I maintain my glorious image as a mecha goddess? I don't want people to say I'm not worthy of Yi Hongwen," Lin Miaomiao said half seriously. "Who dares to say that?" Lin Yin's sharp eyes darted around, focusing on the female soldiers in the team. "Come and fight, life and death are indifferent." "We'll fight when we meet," Bai Jin applauded, cheering Lin Yin on. "Tigress! Why doesn't a man come and take her?" The female soldiers of Team 3 cursed furiously in their hearts, but they all lowered their heads like cowards. Honestly, none of the female soldiers in Squad 3 dared to challenge Lin Miaomiao. Not to mention her husband, the captain, backing her up. Even without him, she's still a tough opponent. With a physical fitness level of 6 and a mental strength level of 5, they couldn't defeat her, whether barehanded or in a mech. Besides Lin Miaomiao's own formidable skills, her close friends were also formidable. Zhu Chen, just one step away from becoming a level 5 mech pilot. Yun Yan, whose mental strength was level 4 but her physical fitness was level 6, the sharp-tongued Zhu Zixin, the scheming Feng Licken, and the ever-intrusive Bai Jin and Yu Hongbo. Furthermore, Lin Miaomiao had a brother who was the captain of the repair team and a sister-in-law with a powerful family background. With such strong backing, she could run amok in the fleet without anyone reporting her. Of course, as a humble, kind, and principled mech cook, Lin Miaomiao preferred to keep a low profile, so she hadn't done anything to bully men or women so far. Yun Yan was now showing her support for her friend, and no one in the team dared to speak up. Lin Miaomiao was feeling a headache and wanted to say a few words to change the subject, but the captain standing in front of the team spoke up. "Little cook, what you did is wrong," Wen Zixi pointed out seriously. Some female team members who envied and hated Lin Miaomiao were secretly delighted. The captain finally couldn't stand it anymore and hoped that this time Lin Miaomiao would be severely punished to prevent her from getting too cocky. Reporting to Captain Wen, Lin Miaomiao stood straight at attention, looking forward, and said, "I don't know what I did wrong. Please give me some advice." Lin Miaomiao, "Don't be so arrogant." Luo Chunhua, the female team member who had been pretending to be a quail just now, accused her righteously. "Once you enter the fleet, you must abide by the rules. Don't think of challenging the captain by relying on your status as captain." Lin Miaomiao was embarrassed. Did Luo Chunhua's brain get hit by a door? She came out and meddled in other people's business for no reason. She wanted to retort, but then remembered it was training time, and she couldn't chat freely with her teammates. She kept her mouth shut and waited for Wen Zixi's next words. Perhaps it was because she'd been pressured too much, But when she heard Wen Zixie's words, which seemed to suggest he was going to cause trouble for Lin Miaomiao, Luo Chunhua was immediately overwhelmed with happiness. Seeing that the person she'd bullied didn't say anything in return, she felt even more encouraged. Why are you so scared to speak? You usually act so arrogant, but you're withdrawing at the crucial moment. Lin Miaomiao gritted her teeth, determined to hold it in. She absolutely couldn't let her guard down during training. Even if she couldn't talk, she could still use her eyes to stun the enemy. She didn't glare at Luo Chunhua, who couldn't read people's expressions, but instead glared at Wen Zixie fiercely, hoping to make fun of her. Wen Zixie chuckled dryly. His previous words were deliberate, intended to provoke the team to cause trouble for Lin Miaomiao, but instead of enjoying the fun, he received a warning. As the captain of the third team, it would be a big joke if he was beaten into pig's head by Lin Miaomiao in public. Thinking of the last time he challenged Lin Miaomiao in the private training room of Chengguan Club, but was beaten into pig's head, Wen Zixie felt terrible. Who would have thought that his strength would be surpassed by a little girl? She usually pretended to be humble and asked for advice. What a pig in disguise. Wen Zixie shook his body and interrupted Luo Chunhua's endless chatter in a very stern manner. Luo Chunhua, if you speak without being called during training time, you will be given a verbal warning and confinement for 3 days. Luo Chunhua, who thought she was doing justice for the people, choked. Why didn't the plot go as she thought? Chapter 713 Field Training Competition. Captain, stop flirting with your admirer. You haven't answered my questions yet, Lin Miaomiao interrupted with a wooden face, abruptly destroying the serious atmosphere created by Wen Zixie. Embarrassed, Luo Chunhua blushed and looked at the captain shyly. Although the one she admired was not the captain, the male god was already taken. If the captain was willing, she could also take back her misplaced admiration. Inadvertently receiving Luo Chunhua's affectionate eyes, Wen Zixie couldn't help feeling nauseous. He clenched his fists to control the urge to rub off the goosebumps on his body, and laughed dryly twice. Little cook, you misunderstood. I just said that if you are not feeling well, you can take 2 more days off. Don't force yourself and hurt yourself. Wen Zixie is not a fool. He knows that a real man is one who can bend and stretch. Lin Miaomiao replied expressionlessly, then realized her response seemed a bit insincere, so she added sternly, I'm fine, no need to ask for leave. Thank you, Captain, for your concern. She'd felt embarrassed asking for leave the previous 2 days when she wasn't feeling well and had a slight stomachache. Today, she felt a tightness in her chest and stomach, and asking for leave again would be too squeamish. Lin Miaomiao decided to train normally. Back when she graduated from university, her teacher had told her that once you join the fleet, you can't be afraid of hardship. Lin Miaomiao had no intention of asking for leave, and Wen Zixie wouldn't force it. In fact, he also agreed with the little chef's decision. Although the border planet was hot, it wouldn't be unreasonable to take a few days off just because you caught a bit of heat stroke. They didn't get to watch the fun, and the team members assembled on time. Wen Zixie pouted in boredom, not bothering to pay attention to Luo Chunhua, who had suddenly become obsessed with him. It's boring to just do military boxing every day. I see the weather's nice today, so why not try something new? Wen Zixie smiled politely, but his once charming smile now looked so gloomy that it hurt the eyes. Unable to bear the sight, Lin Miaomiao silently closed her eyes. The other team members, however, stared at their captain with wide eyes. It's so hot, can't we just be a little less aggressive? The answer was, of course, no. Since mecha combat training had been almost abandoned recently, there were no instruments for mental training, and strangely, only a few battles had been fought. When Zixie felt that this wasn't going to work, he decided to send everyone out of base for mecha training today. When Zixie wasn't sending everyone out for training to fight alien beasts. The border defense star base was large, but the empty space was even larger. Alien beasts had once inhabited the planet, but because the border defense star garrison was so poor, they often raided the wilds for food, and then the alien beasts disappeared. The alien beasts were gone, but the mountains, rivers, and cliffs outside remained unchanged. When Zixie planned to take them on a field training expedition, dividing the team into 3 groups and conducting group competitions deep in the mountains and forests. The rules of the competition were simple. You cannot use your mechas until you encounter the enemy. You cannot fight each other. Fighting must be stopped to the limit. If the warning light on the mech's cabin shatters, you are eliminated. The winner is determined by the number of players remaining. The competition lasts 6 hours, and players cannot leave the competition area without permission. Unless ordered to assemble urgently by the base, they will be deemed to have forfeited the competition. If only one player remains from either team, the competition ends early. After hearing the rules, the members of Team 3 were thrilled. They were still on the front lines, and the captain had actually prepared a field training exercise, not worrying that the mechas would be damaged during the competition and not be repaired by the enemy. Although they were puzzled, they had no choice but to comply with the captain's announcement. Team 3 consisted of 467 members, and if they were divided fairly into 3 teams, there would still be one person missing. When Zixi didn't care and simply took out a lottery box he had prepared and had everyone line up to draw lots. There are 468 paper balls in total, each with a red, yellow, and blue character written on them. Each character has 156 lots. Whichever character you draw will be your team's. No questions, everyone? Are there any questions? When Zixi thought he'd explained it clearly. Just as he was about to tell the first person from the left in the first row to come up and draw the lot, Luo Chunhua, aroused by love, interrupted him. Captain, I have a question. When Zixi was displeased that he still had questions after such a clear explanation. But since he had asked the question himself, he couldn't refuse to answer. He could only pull a long face and utter one word, speak. Luo Chunhua, self-proclaimed charm, gave him a wink. It's really no big deal, if it's nothing serious, shut up, when Zixi said bluntly. Captain, how could you do this? Luo Chunhua stamped her foot in disapproval. He had already flirted with her, and yet he still scolded her harshly. It was truly unforgiving. But only such an upright man was worthy of her affection. Luo Chunhua decided to ignore the cold captain from now on. Unrequited affection was despairing, especially since the captain had a wife with exceptional martial prowess. Luo Chunhua's thoughts were beautiful, but she had no idea that when Zixi was already racing through her mind. He hadn't found anyone he loved yet, and now, in the blink of an eye, he had a new crush. This was truly bad news. With a resentful glance at the culprit, Lin Miaomiao, Captain Wen said sternly, Luo Chunhua, I originally wanted you to go to the detention room after today's match, but I've changed my mind. I'll send you there after they draw lots and the match begins. Luo Chunhua's face fell. She had no desire to be confined. She hadn't even begun to develop a good relationship with the captain yet. Such a selfless captain was too unlovable. Sending him to detention alone is not a bad way to cultivate a relationship, Lin Miaomiao muttered softly. Luo Chunhua's eyes lit up. It was indeed true. Just thinking about their own world made her feel sweet. When Zixi, on the other hand, was practically fuming with anger. He gritted his teeth and asked, What did you mean by that, little cook? Lin Miaomiao glanced at him calmly and asked seriously, I just wanted to say that dividing into 3 teams doesn't seem fair. One team will have one extra person, that depends on your luck, when Zixi snorted. Start with the first one on the left in the first row and come draw lots from me. Hurry up. Wen Huli was only human after all, and didn't possess the profound skills of Hu Zhi. He was so completely changed by a few words that Lin Miaomiao felt a strange sense of satisfaction. These days, being a matchmaker is actually quite fun. Glancing at Luo Chunhua, whose body was covered in pink bubbles, and then at Wen Zixi, who had completely lost her usual gentle aura, the little matchmaker nodded with satisfaction. The saying that love can completely change a person's appearance is really apt. Just as she was thinking about those things, she was suddenly pushed by the person on her right. When Lin Miaomiao came to her senses, she found that it was her turn to draw lots. She strode to the lottery box, reached in and casually picked up a ball of paper. Chapter 714, Field Training Competition. Lin Miaomiao clutched the small piece of paper, unhurriedly opening it. She strode back to her team before carefully unwrapping it. She saw the word blue written on it. You're on Team Blue, Yun Yan said, raising the slip of paper with regret. I'm on Team Yellow, luckily you two aren't on the same team, otherwise I'd be dead, the male soldier behind her exclaimed rather exaggeratedly. Lin Miaomiao frowned. Were she and Yun Yan really that formidable? Standing in the front row, Bai Jin glanced at the captain conducting the drawing, quickly sidling up to Lin Miaomiao and asking in a low voice, which team were you two assigned to? Yun Yan whispered the result back. She was still lamenting not being assigned to the same team as Lin Miaomiao, missing the chance to fight alongside her. If I were on the same team with Miaomiao, I'd definitely have a better chance of winning, Lin Yin said confidently. Lin Miaomiao shook her head. This guy was obviously older than her, and his temper was like that of a child. He was very vindictive. Baijin and her husband didn't get together and were a little depressed at first, but Lin Miaomiao smiled together. Qianqian, are you okay? Lin Miaomiao asked tentatively, laughing mindlessly, giving people a creepy feeling. It's okay, Baijin chuckled. Her eyes wandered over Yun Yan for a long time, and she said in a rather vulgar manner, I just think that Yun Yan is too old. Why don't she find a partner earlier to avoid imbalance of yin and yang, and her temper will become weirder. Stop talking. If you have anything to say it nicely, Lin Miaomiao advised. You're always cross-eyed, aren't you afraid of being laughed at? Just laugh, what's there to be afraid of? Baijin waved her hand nonchalantly. I'm doing this for her own good. Who would care if she wasn't a true friend? Her advice proved ineffective, and Lin Miaomiao gave up trying. She simply stood quietly, waiting for the competition to begin. Her eyes strayed to the front, and she noticed Yu Hongwen, Song Changte, and Lian who had arrived without her noticing. Wasn't this a spur-of-the-moment group match? Why were all these captains here? Lin Miaomiao hadn't heard Yu Hongwen mention this the night before, so the sudden development caught her off guard. How strange. Our battle with the Empire isn't over yet, so why are they having this leisurely competition? Baijin muttered softly. Lin Miaomiao was also curious. She'd assumed this was just a temporary event organized by their team, but when she just left, the other team seemed to be marching out of the base. Could it be a collective effort? Yu Hongwen and his two companions remained in front of Team 3 for only a few minutes before exchanging a few words with Wen Zixi and leaving. Lin Miaomiao noticed they were heading in the direction they left, not toward the main gate, but further out. The teams were divided into groups, and Wen Zixi asked each group to elect a captain. The members of Team Blue all looked at Lin Miaomiao, and then, with some cunning hands, they pushed her to the front of the group. Lin Miaomiao twitched her lips and reluctantly declined. I'm not fit to be captain. Why not? Baijin said disapprovingly. As long as everyone thinks you're fit, that's fine. Aren't there teammates with more experience than me? Lin Miaomiao glanced at Zheng Yiming, who was hiding in the crowd. Brother Zheng would be more suitable to be captain. Zheng Yiming, a reserved man, had no desire to be captain. When he was called upon, he shook his hands back and forth, refusing. I can't do it. I'm not as tough as the little cook. Everyone stifled laughter, but Lin Miaomiao was filled with grief and indignation. She was supposed to be the calm and composed mecha goddess, but in their words, she became a tough girl. No matter how much she refused, she was still forced to become the captain of the blue team. The captains of the other two teams were all male soldiers. Lin Miaomiao glanced at Yun Yan, who was smiling like a flower in the yellow team next door, with resentment. Such a tigress didn't even get elected as captain, so why was she so unlucky? Everyone, please be quiet, Wen Zixi shouted from the front. I've already explained the rules of the competition. I need to add one point. Originally, each team was supposed to compete independently of the others, but the captain has suddenly changed the rules. Wen Zixi paused for a moment before continuing. This time, all teams must act together. Everyone must protect the badges on their chests. If a badge is taken, you're automatically eliminated. Taking a badge of a different color from your own team earns 1 point, taking a badge of a different color from another team earns 2 points, and taking a badge of the same color from another team earns 1 point. For example, if a member of Team 3 Blue grabbed a badge from a member of Team 3 Yellow, the member without a badge would be eliminated, and the team that grabbed the badge would earn 1 point. However, if a member of Team 3 Blue grabbed the badge from Team 2 Yellow, they'd earn 2 points, but would lose 1 point. The rules sounded a bit confusing, and Lin Miaomiao pondered for a while, even discussing them with her teammates for a while before finally figuring them out. Baijin played with a round blue badge in her hand, stroking the simplified Chinese character 3 on it. She asked with interest, no matter which team you're on, grabbing the same colored badge will result in a point penalty. In other words, badges of the same color can't attack each other. Does that mean different teams with the same color can form alliances? Perhaps. Lin Miaomiao began to ponder the formation for the upcoming advance. Not being able to mount a mech before encountering the enemy meant they couldn't use it for security. Pathfinders must be observant and quick to react, so they could detect the enemy first and protect their badges. Lin Miaomiao wanted to be the Pathfinder, but the others objected. As the captain, They had to stay behind and control the situation. How could they take such a risk? Ultimately, Team Sanhurong selected 2 mech pilots with physical fitness reaching level 5 but mental strength hovering around level 4 as pathfinders. The others followed at a distance. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 715 Field Training Competition. The group moved silently through the dense forest. Although Lin Miaomiao wasn't a pioneer, she remained firm in her stance. I may not be a qualified captain, but since you trust me and insist on me taking the lead, I can't just hide behind you. Lin Miaomiao's expression was resolute as she spoke. Even though she knew the real reason for her appointment as captain of this makeshift team, she wouldn't shirk her responsibility. Lin Miaomiao knew full well that she wasn't the best choice for captain. There were several more capable members of this makeshift team, yet she was chosen because the more capable members were unwilling to let the other team take advantage. Since she was a decent player and the captain's wife, she was the perfect choice. The rules of this competition were unusual. The competition time was strictly set from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., and the way to earn points was simple: grab the badges on other people's chests. The question arises, badges are worn by people. What if they encounter someone who's too quick to react and snatches their badge? Would that mean they wouldn't even have the chance to board their mechas? Lin Miaomiao was racking her brains trying to figure out how to break the deadlock, but she couldn't come up with an idea. There are 2 possible scenarios when encountering an enemy while scouting. One is that the enemy discovers their team first and attempts to snatch their badges. In this case, it's a battle of skill. Whoever snatches all their badges first wins. The other is that the enemy boards their mechas directly, giving the 3 blue teams plenty of time to do so. However, during a mech battle, destroying the warning light on the enemy's mech's cabin eliminates them, but unfortunately, they don't receive any points. According to these rules, it's clear that the higher-ups don't want mechas to be used, but the fleet is primarily composed of mech pilots, so what's the point of the competition? Lin Miaomiao rubbed her temples in a state of anguish. After advancing for half an hour without any results, she was about to discuss with her level 5 Mecha Master teammates whether to change their route when the Pathfinders sounded the alarm. We've encountered the enemy, Bai Jin said, her face flushing with excitement. She wanted to run forward and beat the enemy to pulp, just to keep the badge. Hush, Lin Miaomiao warned her in a low voice. Be careful not to alert the enemy. This competition clearly didn't want everyone to rely on mechas. Since that was the case, they would be more advantageous if they stayed in the shadows. As long as they stayed behind and attacked when they were resting, they should be able to easily defeat the enemy. It had to be said that Team 3 Blue's first encounter was quite idiotic. The captain shifted all the blame onto others while he himself snored loudly in his tent. Without a qualified captain, the team would be in chaos. Lin Miaomiao had just led the team on a surprise attack, still contemplating how to secure an invincible position, but she hadn't expected these men to be so vulnerable. No wonder, with the captain preoccupied with sleep and the others indifferent, such opponents presented no challenge at all. After bagging the badges her teammates had snatched, Lin Miaomiao casually twisted one open and examined it carefully. It was a yellow badge with a 9 clearly written on it. So they're from Team 9, Bai Jin exclaimed in amazement. No wonder they were so weak. We defeated them the first time we met them. Team 9 in Shen Yuli was mostly new recruits, with only a small number of veterans. These veterans, however, had been with the fleet for a long time, nearing 10 years of service without a promotion. They were about to be discharged and reassigned to the fleet. They were the most lazy and slick of all, and they didn't take this competition seriously. Lin Miaomiao despised these old veterans. Even if they were going to be discharged and go home at the end of the year, there was no need to be so unkind. After tossing the stolen badge into the space button, Lin Miaomiao resolved to change direction. The forest was too boring. If she continued walking deeper, she wouldn't be stuck there for hours. We've already made quite a few gains this time, so even if we don't face any opponents next time, it doesn't matter, Lin Miaomiao reasoned simply. As long as we're not in last place, that's fine, one team member protested. What do you mean by not in last place? Aren't we supposed to conquer the other teams and take first place? Lin Miaomiao sneered. Since you have such ambitions, I'll give you a chance to demonstrate them. I'll give you the captaincy. That team member was just a talker. No way would he dare to be captain. He knew his limitations. If you were captain, let alone first place, even finishing in last place would be a struggle. He stopped talking and retreated among his teammates, not daring to emerge. As the saying goes, man proposes, God disposes. Lin Miaomiao searched for opponents, but only found the slackers from Team 9. Feeling utterly dejected, she decided to lead the team back, hoping to just get through the next 6 hours. Unexpectedly, shortly after returning, Team 3 Blue encountered Team 2 Red, and the two sides engaged in a fistfight without a word. Team 2 Red was no match for Team 9 Yellow, but in a real fight, Team 3 Blue had the upper hand. It wasn't that Team 2 Red lacked strength, but rather that their opponents were far more formidable. Team 3 Blue was known for their unconventional tactics, employing underhanded tactics like hair pulling, ear tugging, and even, as it turned out, anal stabs. When honest men met scoundrels, and the two sides were evenly matched, Team 2 Red suffered the most, having many of their badges stolen. When the numbers were evenly divided, Team 3 Blue resorted to group brawling. The outcome of the clash is beyond description. All members of Team Erhong were eliminated, leaving only the captain and a few level 5 mecha pilots fighting fiercely. The eliminated members of Team Erhong were quite resigned to the fact that they didn't have to fight, so they simply sat back and watched the fight. At the most exciting moments, they even shouted, "Come on, Captain. You're just a female soldier, but we think you can hold your own." Lin Miaomiao was secretly annoyed. Was her strength really that poor? With a cold glance at the nearby onlookers, Lin Miaomiao quickened her pace, determined to end the fight quickly. But for some reason, just as she threw herself to the ground to avoid her opponent's punch, her stomach suddenly ached, and her body went limp. After barely dodging Captain Erhong's attack, she called for a timeout. Captain Erhong also noticed that she seemed a little uncomfortable, but he didn't take it to heart. He just wanted to take this opportunity to defeat Lin Miaomiao. So he refused unhappily. "How can you pause in the middle of a fight?" He refused verbally, but his fist went directly towards the person on the ground. Just as he was about to hit someone, Baijin realized something was wrong and jumped out to stop him. Chapter 716, Fetal Movement. Baijin's fighting ability was not strong. She barely took the punch from Captain Erhong. Seeing that he was still not giving in, she shouted, "You are all dead men. You didn't even notice that the captain was uncomfortable, and you just stood there watching the fun." Lin Miaomiao was quite strong. She had the upper hand just now, so naturally no one helped her. No one even said, "Let the captain stretch his muscles." No one expected the situation to suddenly reverse. For a moment, no one could react. It was not until Baijin yelled that they woke up and Fenpu came up to restrain Captain Erhong. Baijin breathed a sigh of relief and turned around to help Lin Miaomiao. "How are you? What happened? You were fine just now." Lin Miaomiao felt a sharp pain in her stomach, and something hot seemed to flow out between her legs. It was different from when she had a normal day. She suddenly had a bad premonition. "Qianqian, take me to the infirmary." Lin Miaomiao tightly grasped Baijin's arm, and was so flustered that she was a little incoherent. "My stomach hurts so much. I want to find Yi Hongwen." Baijin hurriedly called for help. "Quickly notify the captain, we have to send him to the infirmary." Seeing that something was wrong, someone reported it to the higher-ups, and took out a flying car and asked everyone to carry Lin Miaomiao up. Captain Erhong, whose badge was robbed, said sarcastically, "You are so bold. You used the flying car without the permission of the superiors, and you are not afraid of your score being reset to 0. Shut up." Baijin glared at him fiercely. Miaomiao was uncomfortable and asked to stop, but you didn't stop. You are simply taking advantage of the fire. If Miaomiao is okay, it's fine. If something happens, you can only take care of yourself. Captain Erhong was stiff. He felt that losing to a woman was too shameful just now. He even forgot the other party's identity. What if something really happened? Almost instantly, he had come up with an excuse to get out. The fight just now was a normal part of the competition. She took the initiative and challenged me to be her opponent. A few scrapes are normal, isn't it? How can I be blamed for it? Baijin didn't bother to discuss it further. Seeing her teammates carry Lin Miaomiao to the speeding car and set her there, she quickly jumped on board. The speeding car door closed, and the car sped off in an instant. The other members of Team Sanherong couldn't ride the speeding car because they weren't injured, but they were worried about Lin Miaomiao's condition. Since they had a good harvest and weren't afraid of being last, they quickened their pace and headed towards their base. Half flying in the speeding car, Lin Miaomiao gritted her teeth and endured the pain. Even though she was panicking, she didn't want to appear weak, because the person she could rely on hadn't arrived yet. Flying cars weren't allowed inside the base. When they arrived at the gate, the soldier on guard refused to let them in. Even after Bai Jin pleaded, saying there was a patient in the car, the soldier could only say, "I've already reported this to my superiors. We should have news soon. Let's wait a little longer." Lin Miaomiao's condition was dire, and Bai Jin was terribly worried. She couldn't wait any longer, and she was almost on the verge of assaulting the soldier. Fortunately, she had some sense, knowing that causing trouble at the gate wouldn't have a positive impact. Just then, Yi Hongwen arrived and directly told the soldier he wanted to take the flying car. Knowing his identity, the soldier didn't dare to stop him. Yi Hongwen took advantage of the situation and put his own car in and squeezed into the one Lin Miaomiao was in. Despite his anxiety, Yi Hongwen maintained his usual composure. Only his tightly pursed lips and anxious eyes betrayed his concern. Once in the flying car, he didn't ask what was going on, but simply embraced Lin Miaomiao in his arms. Then he noticed that Lin Miaomiao was sitting under a thick white cotton padded jacket, its bright red bloodstains stinging his eyes. Lin Miaomiao's stomach still ached, but it had eased considerably. Seeing Yi Hongwen's eyes fixed on the jacket beneath her, his handsome face etched with an indelible gloom, he said in a faint snarl, "I accidentally took out my favorite jacket just now. I'm afraid I won't be able to wear it anymore. You'll have to buy me too." Seeing that she was frail yet still in the mood for a joke, Yi Hongwen's worry eased somewhat. He said coldly, "Okay, I'm relying on you for support now." Lin Miaomiao was stunned. His words sounded so shameless, like he was spending her money to buy her a gift. Before she could say anything else, they arrived at the infirmary. Shen Yu's military doctor didn't live in the base's quarters, but stayed aboard the main ship. The main gate to the base's infirmary was closer, and the equipment there was more comprehensive, so Yi Hongwen sent him there. When she first arrived at the base, Lin Miaomiao had been to the infirmary. Although Wu Wang was currently stationed on Border Star, and Wu Wang's military doctor also worked in the infirmary, this did not mean that people from other fleets could not come here for medical treatment. In fact, there were some military doctors stationed on Border Star for a long time in the infirmary. These people were transferred from the Military Region General Hospital on Shaoyun Star to prevent the shortage of military doctors during wartime. Yi Hongwen notified the infirmary before sending his wife here. As soon as the flying car stopped, he carried Lin Miaomiao out of the car and placed her on the mobile bed pushed in by the robot nurse. The robot nurse quickly pushed her into the emergency room, where the doctor was already waiting. Lin Miaomiao did not look like she was seriously injured and dying, so she was not thrown directly into the recovery cabin, but was sent to a full-body detector for examination. Before going in, Lin Miaomiao hesitated for a few seconds before finally telling the doctor her suspicions. "I've been feeling stomach discomfort and cramps for the past few days. I wasn't hot in the match today, but it's cramping and bleeding again. It might not be the injury." The doctor's face darkened. "Are you pregnant?" "I don't know," Lin Miaomiao said, looking innocently at the ceiling. "I had my period the day before yesterday, but it was light and painful, and the color wasn't quite right." Although the doctor was a man, at this point, she felt comfortable speaking out. Thanks to her words, the doctor decisively switched to a different scanner. This time, instead of a full-body exam, they drew blood and performed abdominal dialysis. During the tests, the doctor asked Lin Miaomiao some more questions, such as when her last period was. The results came back quickly, and the doctor slammed the report on the table with a sullen face. "She's about 6 weeks pregnant. Her recent excessive exercise has caused her to experience miscarriage." Miscarriage is a possibility. Yi Hongwen froze. Before coming to Border Star, he had taken Lin Miaomiao to the infirmary to check she was not pregnant, and they had been careful to use contraception during their relationships, yet she still got pregnant. This filled Yi Hongwen with regret. If he hadn't been planning on having a baby earlier, his wife wouldn't have suffered so much. Miaomiao would be heartbroken if she couldn't keep the baby. Chapter 717, If you don't want to treat me, get out. There was also a gynecologist on the border planet, but since such things rarely happened in the fleet, she didn't have much use for her. Every day, She would just clock in at the infirmary and leave. Female soldiers who wanted to see a gynecologist would just send a text message to make an appointment. The emergency doctor contacted the gynecologist after knowing that Lin Miaomiao might be pregnant. After the test results came out, the doctor rushed into the ward breathlessly, still wearing only an ordinary military uniform. "Why are you here so late?" the emergency doctor scolded unhappily. "I told you not to travel too far on weekdays. What if something happens to the patient?" The gynecologist looked no more than 40 years old. She had been on the border planet for several years, but her skin was still white and clean. It was obvious that she had put a lot of effort into maintaining her skin. She was not stout, giving people the feeling of being fragile and weak. When she was scolded, her eyes instantly turned red. The gynecologist didn't rush to inquire about the patient's condition. Instead, she wiped her tears and complained, "Dr. Lee, what are you talking about? I just went to the doc today for something. Where did I run around? Don't talk nonsense." Dr. Lee interrupted her impatiently with a snort. "Wang Taohua, I'm telling you, stop trying to be clever. I don't have time to talk to you right now. Hurry and save the patient's pregnancy." Wang Taohua knew she would get into trouble if she continued, so she quickly picked up the medical report on the table and began to read it. Then she arranged for the robot nurse to administer an IV drip to support the pregnancy. Upon arriving at the ward, the IV had already been started. It turned out that although Dr. Lee wasn't an obstetrician and gynecologist, he had learned some emergency procedures. Since Wang Taohua hadn't made it back to the infirmary in time, he had arranged the IV to ensure the patient's safety. If it were an ordinary patient, it wouldn't be a big deal. But Yi Hongwen, who had brought his wife here, was wearing a white military uniform. It was well known that Shen Yu had a young, icy captain. Dr. Lee didn't dare sit there and wait. Wang Taohua knew she'd done something wrong, and initially, she felt guilty. She rushed to the ward to arrange for the pregnancy, only to find the first step already taken. She felt uneasy. She glanced at Lin Miaomiao in the hospital bed, noting that, despite her slightly dark complexion, she still looked youthful and beautiful. Her frustration intensified. Furthermore, Yi Hongwen had gone to the kitchen after giving Lin Miaomiao an IV. The doctor said pregnant women weren't getting enough nutrition, so he had to go and arrange for a nutritious meal before returning. Meanwhile, Baijin's competition wasn't over yet, so she had to go back and compete even if she didn't want to. So, Lin Miaomiao was the only one in the ward. Wang Taohua didn't think the unaccompanied pregnant woman had much ability. With a pout, she asked, "Why are you running to the front lines when you're pregnant and don't take leave to go home and take care of the baby? Do you think the Federation is deserted?" Lin Miaomiao frowned. "Did I hear you wrong, or is there something wrong with your brain?" Wang Taohua was stunned, then even more furious. Dr. Lee scolding her was one thing, but how could an ordinary female soldier insult her? "You are the one with a problem in the brain. Am I wrong? There are female soldiers like you everywhere in the fleet. You dare to come to the front line to cause trouble even though you are pregnant. You deserve to be kicked out of the fleet. And the piece of meat in your belly, I'm afraid there is no need to save it at all." Lin Miaomiao's eyes tightened, and she stared at Wang Taohua with hostility. They were just strangers who met by chance. She didn't think about arguing too much with this military doctor, but she didn't expect that the other party would be so vicious. It would be fine if he just insulted her inexplicably, but he also cursed the unborn child in her belly. Lin Miaomiao couldn't suppress the anger in her heart. "As a doctor, you don't have a benevolent heart. You don't deserve to be a doctor." Wang Taohua looked at the cold-faced female soldier on the hospital bed in surprise. She suddenly felt that this ordinary female soldier had a faint sense of oppression. She always felt a sense of fear when she was stared at. Wang Taohua began to review the list of fleet commanders, confirming that none of the fleets heading to the front had female captains. As for captains and the like, she didn't care. After all, she wasn't alone. Although she was certain the pregnant woman wouldn't be able to kick her out of the infirmary, she still felt a sense of trepidation. A female soldier in the fleet who could still get pregnant must have a husband in the same fleet, perhaps even a high-ranking official. Otherwise, she wouldn't have the guts to get pregnant. She'd just been impulsive. Even knowing she'd been reckless, Wang Taohua refused to apologize. She simply drooped her eyelids, brushing aside Lin Miaomiao's rebuke, and dryly reported on the baby's condition with a medical report. "I'll prescribe some pregnancy-preserving medicine later. You can take it after the IV is finished." You must stay in bed for the next few days. Don't get out of bed, don't get cold, don't. Lin Miaomiao was both angry and amused. The funny thing was that the female military doctor was quite sensible. She realized she was difficult to deal with and changed the subject. She angrily hurled insults at the patient. Such a person truly didn't deserve to be a life-saving angel in white. But her stomach was still aching slightly, so she didn't have the energy to argue with the doctor. She could only suppress the urge to explode and keep her mouth shut. Wang Taohu had no idea what Lin Miaomiao was thinking. Seeing that she was silent, she thought she was bluffing. The little bit of rationality she had just found flew away again. She said something mean. The conditions on the border planet are difficult. It's not safe to keep the child temporarily. It's better to have an abortion directly. Lin Miaomiao clenched her fists and tried her best to suppress her anger. She was not alone now. Even if she didn't think about herself, she had to think about the child. Being too excited would hurt the child. After taking a few deep breaths to calm down, Lin Miaomiao sneered, "Doctor, you will retire sooner or later. You might as well resign now and go home to live a leisurely life, so as to avoid harming others and yourself with your poor medical skills. Or you can choose to die. No one can avoid death in this world anyway. You dare to curse me?" Wang Taohu's sharp voice echoed in the ward. She shouted to drive Lin Miaomiao away. "Go away. The infirmary does not welcome you, and I am too lazy to protect your fetus. You'd better go to the battlefield with the flesh in your belly and die." Dr. Li, who accompanied Yi Hongwen into the ward, froze all over. He didn't expect to hear such vicious curses when he came in. He didn't even have the courage to look at the expression of Captain Yi next to him. "Wang Taohua, shut up right there," Dr. Li shouted through gritted teeth. "If you don't have the ability to treat the patient, get out. Don't keep complaining here and offending others." What Dr. Li didn't expect was that Wang Taohua, who was cursing, didn't understand the point of his words at all. Not only did she not apologize and leave, but she stiffened her neck and said, "Who said I can cure her? I'm just too lazy to treat this tactless person. She's not a big shot anyway, and she won't be a big deal even if she gives birth to a baby." Yi Hongwen originally thought that he was the captain and didn't dare to argue with a doctor, so he didn't say anything and just handed the patient over to Dr. Li. However, he didn't expect the other party to be so tactless, and he didn't intend to put up with it. "If you don't want to treat her, get out." Chapter 718 The child is saved. Wang Taohua instinctively wanted to retort, but the sight of Yi Hongwen in his white military uniform made her forehead sweat. She opened her mouth and asked fearfully, "Who are you?" Yi Hongwen sneered, "I'm the father of that child you were talking about who would never amount to anything." "How could that be?" Wang Taohua's eyes widened in disbelief. She looked at the expressionless Lin Miaomiao with a grimace and shouted indignantly, "You didn't even tell me." Lin Miaomiao held her forehead. What was the nature of this man's brain circuits? He started insulting her the moment he entered the room, and now he was blaming her for not revealing her identity as the captain's wife? What a nonsense. "I'm not stupid. Do I need to keep mentioning my husband's identity all the time? Or do you think that if I weren't the captain's wife, or if my backing wasn't strong enough, then you'd deserve my insults?" Wang Taohu choked. Although she did have such thoughts, it didn't mean she dared to say them out loud. After all, there was someone in front of her who was even more powerful than her backing. In just a few short years, the fame of Captain Yi Hongwen, a gifted mecha master, had spread throughout the Federation. Wang Taohu had seen his photo and, at their engagement, lamented that it would have been wonderful if she were his age. Unfortunately, she was still young, and he was already old when she was born. Now, this young captain, adored by the entire Federation, stood before her, yet he told her to get out. This distressed Wang Taohua, and her resentment towards Lin Miaomiao intensified. Facing Lin Miaomiao's accusations, Wang Taohu dared not continue her rude remarks. She simply lowered her head and apologized in a muffled voice, "I'm sorry, something happened at home, and I was in a bad mood, which is why I said that." "Something happened at home?" Lin Miaomiao raised a brow. "Is your husband no longer willing to let you go, or is your child disowning you? Are you cursing me?" Wang Taohu gaped. Aren't young women usually shy? How could she say such shameless words? Lin Miaomiao nodded bluntly, "I am cursing you. Just because you can curse the baby in my belly, can't I fight back?" In fact, she was still quite kind and did not retaliate by cursing Wang Taohu's child. Lin Miaomiao thought she was kind enough, But she didn't expect Wang Taohu to be so angry at her words. Her face was as black as the bottom of a pot, and she was panting heavily, as if she was trying to suppress something. Dr. Li couldn't help laughing. These words really touched Wang Taohu's heart. A few years ago, her husband insisted on divorcing her. She tried hard to keep him but failed. She wanted to take custody of the children, but she didn't expect that both children would cry and not want to go with her. Wang Taohu gave Dr. Li a cold look, then turned to look at Lin Miaomiao. How could such an ordinary female soldier become Yi Hongwen's wife, while she lost her husband and children because of such a trivial matter? She felt resentful and hateful, but she didn't dare show it in front of Yi Hongwen. She could only walk out with her back straight. Since you all think I'm not worthy of being a doctor, then I'll leave. She was the only obstetrician and gynecologist on board her star. Even if Dr. Li knew a little bit, he didn't know how to do follow-up treatment. If he dared to treat her like this, she should be mentally prepared to lose the baby. Wang Taohu left the infirmary full of resentment. Yi Hongwen and Lin Miaomiao did not say anything to stop her. Only Dr. Li frowned and said, "There are no other obstetricians and gynecologists in the base. I only know that if the situation is serious, you need to get a pregnancy-preserving IV drip. The follow-up treatment is all in the dark. It's okay. The doctor just now was too bad. I dare not accept her treatment," Lin Miaomiao said with a gloomy face, gently touching her flat belly. "It doesn't hurt much now. The baby should be fine after a few days of bed rest. The pregnancy-preserving injection can temporarily stabilize your condition, but it does not mean that the baby can be saved. The first 3 months are the dangerous period. You have been too tired these days. If the follow-up treatment is not kept up," Dr. Li said with difficulty, "I'm afraid, but the pregnancy-preserving injection only works the first time. It will not work at all if it is given a second time." Dr. Li stopped talking halfway, but Lin Miaomiao and Yi Hongwen both understood what he meant. Lin Miaomiao bit her lower lip, a little annoyed that she hadn't kept her composure and had driven Wang Taohu away. A few scoldings were nothing compared to the child. "Don't worry," Yi Hongwen stroked her cheek, soothing her softly. "I have a solution." Lin Miaomiao didn't know what solution he was talking about. She only knew that he'd gone out to call Yi's mother and come back to say the doctor's problem had been resolved, and a doctor would be reporting in a couple of days. "Is it from the military?" Dr. Li was surprised. How could the military react so quickly? Just selecting someone and going through the formalities would take days. Yi Hongwen shook his head. Not from the military, but almost. 2 days later, a small warship landed at the Border Defense Star Base. Only a middle-aged female soldier disembarked, and then the warship departed. Lin Miaomiao dozed off in her hospital bed, bored. For the past 2 days, she hadn't dared to leave her bed, fearing something might happen to the child. Even Wang Taohu had appeared several times, asking her to intercede in exchange for saving her unborn child. Knowing a doctor would be arriving, Lin Miaomiao wouldn't bow to Wang Taohu, let alone try to keep her in the Border Stars infirmary, even if it meant lying in bed for days without being able to move. Fortunately, the doctor she was waiting for finally arrived. He headed straight to the infirmary after disembarking, and with the help of a robotic nurse, he gave Lin Miaomiao a thorough examination. The conclusion was that the fetus was stable and could be saved with proper follow-up treatment. The so-called follow-up treatment consisted of injections, medication, and bed rest. To protect the baby, Lin Miaomiao didn't dare slack off and meticulously follow the doctor's instructions. After a week of continuous treatment, the doctor finally announced, "The baby is saved. Starting today, you can get out of bed and walk around a few times. However, you still can't walk for too long. You need to rest after walking a few hundred meters. Also, if you can lie down, try not to sit. Things will get much better after the baby is 3 months old." Lin Miaomiao said gratefully, "Thank you, Sister Shufei. If you hadn't rushed to Border Star in time, I don't know if the child would be here today." Gu Shufei raised her chin proudly. "You're welcome. After all, you are my cousin's wife. It's only natural for family members to help. In fact, if it weren't for Yi's mother's coercion and inducement, Gu Shufei would not have been willing to come all the way to Border Star to suffer. You know, this place is close to the solar system. Going out fully armed every day would get a 10. How could she bear it? The child was saved. Now that she told her cousin that she wanted to go back, there should be no problem." Gu Shufei made a plan in her mind. She said hello to Lin Miaomiao lying on the bed and left the infirmary impatiently. Chapter 719 Cousin Gu's Trouble. Gu Shufei left the infirmary and headed straight for the dock. She stopped at the entrance of the Shenyu and sent a text message to her cousin, informing him, "I'm here. Hurry and claim the baby at the entrance, otherwise I'll just drop it off at random." A few seconds later, Yi Hongwen replied, "The baby is saved, right? If it's better, you can do whatever you want." He looked unthreatening, but it was obvious that he was going to burn the bridge after crossing it. Gu Shufei was furious and called directly. After the call was connected, she didn't say much and just shouted, "If you dare to burn the bridge after crossing the river, I will rely on your son to support me in my old age." After making the threat, Gu Shufei simply hung up the video and then strolled around the entrance impatiently. After a long time, the ship's door finally opened, and Yi Hongwen stood at the door with an expressionless face. "I asked you to come here to take care of Miaomiao, not to threaten me," Gu Shufei said melancholy. "Miaomiao has a nurse to take care of her. Why does she need me? It's your sister. If I don't think of a way from me, your husband will be kidnapped." "Kidnapped?" Yi Hongwen frowned. "What's going on? I remember that you had a big fight the last time you went back, and it hasn't been half a year since you reconciled." This, Gu Shufei blushed and asked shyly, "Cousin, some things are not easy to talk about outside. How about we go up first?" Yi Hongwen thought about it for a while and felt it was too embarrassing to talk about it here. If others heard it, he, as a cousin, would lose face. So he turned around with a cold face and got on the battleship, and took people directly back to the captain's room. As soon as he entered the room, he sat down on the sofa without saying a single polite word. He went straight to the point and asked, "Tell me, what good things have you done for your brother-in-law this time?" Gu Shufei took the initiative to sit down opposite her cousin and played innocently at her finger. "Actually, I didn't do anything. It's obviously your brother-in-law who is too petty. I was just joking with him, but he actually gave me a cold shoulder and said he wanted a divorce." She didn't want to mention the fact that she was sent back to her parents' home in disgrace. But if she didn't mention it, her cousin didn't know how serious the situation was. What if he didn't want to help? With an idea in mind, Gu Shufei poured out all the good things she had done. In fact, Gu Shufei hadn't encountered any bad things. She just found a handsome and gentle husband who was prone to romantic affairs. He was always eager to help when he encountered injustice and would not turn a blind eye even to strangers in need. Logically, with such a kind and caring husband, Gu Shufei should have enjoyed a good relationship with others. However, the opposite was true. She had made many friends, but after marriage, they all turned against her, and she had one rival after another. At first, she was quite proud of her husband's popularity, believing it was a testament to her charm. Otherwise, how could Xiang Bibi have been so successful? But as her husband helped more and more people, she began to feel bad. He often left her and their child aside in his quest for help. This particular argument was also sparked by Gu's husband's eagerness to help others. The story went something like this. Their 5-year-old son had a birthday coming up, and he had made a wish with his parents to take him to an amusement park for a day. Gu's husband's workplace offered good benefits, including a 2-week paid annual leave. Thinking his son was well-behaved and sensible, and that his company wasn't busy, he agreed to his son's wish. On his son's birthday, Gu Shufei and her husband woke up early in the morning to prepare a nutritious breakfast, planning to take their son to the amusement park afterward. But just as cousin Gu was dressing and washing her son, brother-in-law Gu received a message asking for help. A colleague's daughter was sick and needed to be taken to the hospital. However, their residence was far from the bus station, and she was too weak to carry her daughter out, so she sent a text message asking for help. Brother-in-law Gu, always a kind-hearted person, thought that although the colleague lived in a remote area, it was not too far from his home. He had a car and it would not be a big deal to go over and help. After all, his son was always slow to eat, so he could just wait for him to take the child to the hospital and then come back to pick him up. So brother-in-law Gu said goodbye to his wife and left. Cousin Gu didn't think much of it at first. Her husband was kind-hearted, and it was normal for someone to ask him for help. But what she didn't expect was that brother-in-law Gu was gone for half a day, forgetting his wife and children who were waiting for him at home. After helping her son get dressed and washed, and coaxing him into eating a small bowl of longevity noodles and a fried egg, cousin Gu found that her husband had not returned yet, so she sent a text message to urge him to come back. She even called him, but he didn't answer for a long time, and there was no reply to the text message. She waited anxiously for an hour, during which time she made countless video calls and sent dozens of text messages, but still no news. Cousin Gu was anxious, thinking that something had happened. Worried, Cousin Gu contacted relatives and friends one by one, but still got no news. Impatient, little Gu started crying and just wanted his dad to take him to the amusement park. Cousin Gu patiently coaxed her again and again, even suggesting that she take her son to the amusement park first, but her son refused to accept the offer, crying and demanding that his parents come with him, otherwise the children in the kindergarten would laugh at him. At the end of the coaxing, Cousin Gu, who already had a bad temper, exploded. She spanked her son's little butt and threw him on the sofa to watch cartoons and reflect on his mistakes. She continued to call her husband's number. A whole morning passed, and didn't get through. Tired of crying, little Gu jumped up and down on the sofa, shouting that he would break the sofa and make mommy sad too. Cousin Gu thought her son's behavior was very childish, but since he was only 5 years old, she coaxed him to sit still and stop jumping on the sofa. What if he falls and gets hurt? You'll be celebrating your birthday in the hospital. I don't know if Cousin Gu was a pessimist, but she didn't persuade her son to be obedient. Instead, he felt that she cared about the sofa, and he jumped up and down even more happily. Then, out of sheer joy, came a tragic end. Little Gu had messed up the anti-stain sofa cover, tripped, and fell headfirst onto the coffee table, hitting his forehead hard on the corner of the glass coffee table. Bleeding immediately, the tiny child passed out from the pain. Cousin Gu screamed, picked up her son, and rushed to the hospital. She tried to contact her brother-in-law on the way, but still received no response. The child was eventually rushed to the hospital, where he lay in a recovery pod for half an hour. The doctor said the impact was too severe, and a mild concussion couldn't be ruled out. When little Gu awoke, the doctor asked him how he felt, and he replied that he felt dizzy and sleepy. Then, the doctor confirmed, it's a mild concussion, and he needs to be hospitalized for a few days for observation and treatment. Cousin Gu was heartbroken and filled with hatred for her brother-in-law, who had disappeared. Chapter 720 Cousin Gu's Trouble. With lunchtime approaching and no word from her brother-in-law, Cousin Gu, fearing her son might be hungry, left it to the robotic nurse while she went out to buy lunch. Unexpectedly, upon returning from lunch, she ran into her husband in the hospital hallway. To her chagrin, he was holding a small, delicate girl, flanked by a frail woman, the two chatting and laughing as if they were a family. Gu Shufei thought of her son, waiting alone in the hospital ward for her to buy food, and overheard her husband discussing a meal with a woman. He hadn't noticed her approaching, and instead, the woman was smirking at her. Unable to contain her anger, she darted forward and slapped her husband in the face. The frail woman was stunned. She had deliberately provoked Gu Shufei to anger her and publicly provoke her, thus driving a wedge between them. But Cousin Gu wasn't playing by the rules. After being stunned for a moment, the weak girl screamed, "Sister Gu, why are you like this? I know you are not happy that Guanho helped me send my daughter to the hospital for treatment, but I have no choice. Who made me weak and live in a remote place?" Before she could say a few words, tears fell like beads with broken strings. The doctors and patients passing by couldn't bear to watch. Gu Shufei is an obstetrician and gynecologist. She works in this hospital on weekdays. The doctors she knew advised her, "Shufei, it's nothing for friends to help each other. Why make it so difficult?" "Yes, Sister Gu, if you really don't want Guanho to help me, I won't ask him for help in the future," the weak woman choked. "We are innocent, don't misunderstand." Brother-in-law Gu frowned and looked at his wife unhappily. "Shufei, how can you do this? Didn't I tell you to help a friend before I went out?" Gu Shufei ignored him, but sneered at the weak woman and said, "Zhao Qin, when did I beat my husband and it was your turn to stand up for him? I'm curious, what identity do you use to interfere in the affairs between us?" I didn't." Zhao Qin bit her lip and denied awkwardly, "How can I be qualified to interfere in your affairs? I'm just afraid that you, Sister Gu, have misunderstood, so I want to explain." "Explain? Then you might as well just say it's a cover-up." Gu Shufei looked at her with contempt. "He Guanho and I are husband and wife, and if there's any explanation, it should be him who gives it. Who do you think you are? Besides, I didn't beat him because he was eager to help others, but because he didn't do what he promised for the child. It happened that the child fell and I wanted him to come to the hospital to see a doctor, but he didn't answer the video call or reply to the text message. Is this his attitude as a father?" Gu Shufei spoke in a calm tone and her voice was not loud, but her words were unpleasant to listen to. If he sent his friend's child to the hospital for treatment, he should just go. Is it necessary for him to refuse his wife's video call? The people in the hospital also noticed that something was wrong. No one accused Gu Shufei of hitting people anymore. Instead, they glanced at her with sympathetic eyes, and almost surrounded her to comfort her. He Guanhua's expression finally changed. The baby fell? How did he fall? You are such a grown-up, but you don't know how to take care of the child at home. He wanted to find out which ward his son was in, but he hesitated when he saw the little girl in his arms. His wife was still in the mood to go out and buy lunch, so his son must not have been seriously injured, so he decided to send Zhao Qin and her daughter home. So without waiting for Gu Shufei to answer the question, He Guanhua said as a matter of course, "Forget it, let's talk about this later. I'll take them to buy some food first, and then come to accompany you after sending them home." The husband was not in a hurry because of his son's injury, but was concerned about the issue of Zhao Qin and her daughter returning home. Gu Shufei couldn't believe her ears. She clenched her fists and said, "The baby is not feeling well. The doctor said he has a mild concussion. Can't you let them go back by themselves?" He Guanhua hesitated. He only had this one child, and of course he loved him very much, but when his eyes fell on the poor little girl in his hands, he didn't know what to do. Zhao Qin's eyes flickered, and she said sympathetically, "Guanhua, you should go and stay with Sister Gu and her son. They must be feeling very sad. Weiner is feeling much better now. I can take her back on the bus." "That won't work." He Guanhua rejected her suggestion without hesitation. "Weiner is still very weak, and the bus won't pass by your place." "I'll take her back." Zhao Qin repeatedly declined, but He Guanhua was determined. As a result, Gu Shufei and her son were forgotten. Cousin Gu, never known for her good temper, struck out again. This time, she not only slapped her husband twice, but also Zhao Qin. He Guanhua was shocked. "Shufei, what do you mean by this, Sister Gu? You?" Zhao Qin complained, covering her face with her hands, pretending to want to accuse but not dare. Gu Shufei sneered, "Stop pretending here. Get out of here, then calm down. I'll be with you later," He Guanhua said coldly, leading Zhao Qin away. Things had come to this point. If brother-in-law Gu had kept his word, things wouldn't have gotten so serious. However, when he saw Zhao Qin being beaten by his wife, he tried to appease her with soft words, hoping to let the matter go. Zhao Qin was also very annoyed to see him constantly speaking for his wife, but she didn't show it on her face. She said magnanimously, "It's okay." As a result, when they got home, He Guanhua was dragged and couldn't walk. Zhao Qin's daughter kept hugging his thighs and begging him not to leave. When he forced her to leave, she sat on the ground and cried. He Guanhua was worried about his son in the hospital, but he also felt sorry for the little girl who had always been in poor health. He had to appease her with soft words for a long time. By the time he arrived at the hospital, it was already past 7 o'clock in the evening. By then, the baby had been coaxed by Gu Shufei to eat dinner, and had waited for his father for a long time. Because he was dizzy, he could only fall asleep with a disappointed heart. Gu Shufei thought of her son who kept asking why his father hadn't come yet, but his father was accompanying other children. She felt more and more upset. After He Guanhua came, she had a quarrel with him and kicked him out of the hospital. When the baby recovered, Gu Shufei thought of Zhao Qin's actions and knew that she was deliberately trying to sow discord between her and her husband. She hated her with gnashing teeth. Gu Shufei was not a punching bag and would not back down when deliberately provoked. When her son recovered, she went to her husband's company and slapped Zhao Qin in public again, making her deeds public and tearing off her mask of weakness. The incident happened suddenly. Zhao Qin didn't expect Gu Shufei to come to the company to make trouble. In panic, she could only cover her face and cry. He Guanhua felt that Zhao Qin was an outsider and that his wife's actions were simply doubting his character and slapping him in the face. He scolded his wife for being ignorant and making random accusations and ordered her to apologize to Miss Zhao immediately. Chapter 721 Cousin Gu's Trouble. So what happened next? Lin Miaomiao lay in bed, listening to the gossip with gusto. She found the story of her cousin Gu and her husband quite fascinating, like something out of a melodramatic TV show. Did the people at my cousin's husband's company believe my cousin, or that Zhao Qin? And what happened to Zhao Qin? Could it be that her cousin Gu's husband wanted a divorce so he could live with her? What's the rush? The story isn't over yet. Yi Hongwen calmly continued to spread the gossip. To make his wife less bored in her hospital bed, he'd gone all out. It turned out that Zhao Qin had been exposed as a slut and branded a seducer of other people's husbands. Her superiors looked at her with daggers in their eyes. Seeing the situation getting increasingly dire for her, Zhao Qin made a decisive move, claiming she was being framed. With red eyes, she walked to the window, intending to jump to prove her innocence. Their company was on the 67th floor of a building. Jumping from there would surely kill her. Gu Shufei refused to apologize. He Guanhu was worried and his headache was splitting. He could only ask his wife to apologize softly while he apologized to Zhao Qin himself. In the chaos, Gu Shufei slammed the desk heavily. After attracting everyone's attention, she rushed to an open aluminum window and said arrogantly, "Zhao Qin, how about we make a bet? If you dare to jump from here, I will jump with you. If you don't dare, get out of this company and don't bother my man again." Now the matter is even more difficult. He Guanhu has no time to care about Zhao Qin. He ran to 2 meters behind his wife and urged her not to be impulsive. "My son and I can't live without you. What will we do if you leave?" Gu Shufei was unmoved. "What are you afraid of? My son still has his grandparents to take care of him." He smiled coldly at Zhao Qin. "I just don't know what will happen to your sickly daughter after you jump. By the way, do you want to jump or not? If not, I'm too lazy to stay here." Zhao Qin was caught between a rock and a hard place. She certainly didn't intend to commit suicide, she was simply using it to blackmail Gu Shufei into clearing her name. Unfortunately, she wasn't fooled, or rather, Gu Shufei simply didn't take her seriously. Ultimately, the farce was interrupted by the company's director, who fired Zhao Qin on the spot, gave He Guanhu a serious warning, docked a month's salary, and then swept the matter under the rug. It's what she deserves. She has hands, feet, and a baby, but she still wants to hook up with other people's men. It's a good thing that she's fired, so that others don't deserve it. Lin Miaomiao clapped her hands and cheered. "Cousin Gu is not too weak." Yi Hongwen chuckled. "Is she weak? It's just that you are too tough and she is not thick-skinned enough." Lin Miaomiao blinked and asked, "Everything is resolved? Why did my cousin and cousin-in-law get to the point of divorce?" "It's all because Yi Guanhu is so heartless." Yi Hongwen frowned and said, "If he keeps making trouble, even if they get divorced, Gu Shufei can find a better one with the children. Since they can't live together anymore, they might as well break up early and save trouble. Yi Hongwen is too lazy to indulge his bad habits. Does he really think he is an indispensable person? You say breaking up is pointless, but the key is that my cousin doesn't want to break up." Lin Miaomiao rolled her eyes at her husband. "Can't you say something constructive?" She felt that both parties were at fault at this point, and her cousin only wanted her husband to apologize, which was not going to work no matter how she thought about it. It would be better for both parties to calm down for a few days and talk openly. Perhaps that would help resolve their differences. Lin Miaomiao thought so and told Gu Shufei so directly. She was grateful to her cousin for helping to preserve the pregnancy, but that didn't mean she agreed with her cousin's behavior of wanting to reconcile but then being arrogant and refusing to apologize. Hearing this, Gu Shufei wasn't angry, just a little depressed. He's also stubborn. It's not like I haven't thought about apologizing, but he really is a pushover. He can't refuse other soft words and please at any time, and he always thinks I'm too harsh and unwilling to help others, but the reality is different. As long as it doesn't harm her own interests, Gu Shufei also wants her husband to be a good person, but he always helps those pretentious women, always chasing after them, and won't allow her to speak harshly to them. They are pitiful enough, we can't act superior. Then Gu Shufei realized that her husband was a gentleman at heart. He would help men who asked for help with principles, and he was very dedicated to weak women. Gu Shufei used to like her husband's gentleness, but after learning that he was so gentle to all women, she didn't know what to do. If she gave in to his wishes and divorced her, she would feel uncomfortable, but if she apologized and reconciled with him, she was reluctant. "I want to marry a man who treats me well, not just everyone," Gu Shufei said wearily. She had sent her son to her parents' care and had come to the border star to treat Lin Miaomiao's illness, perhaps to use this opportunity to think things through. There should be a clear path to separation and reunion. Gu Shufei still had deep feelings for her husband, but those feelings could no longer sustain her family, which was already shaky. She couldn't help but ask her cousin's wife for any advice. Lin Miaomiao was stunned by the question. Only the husband and wife knew better than the other. She didn't dare to speak freely. Even if she offered advice, It would probably be to mediate. After all, the old saying goes, it's better to demolish 10 temples than to destroy a single relationship. But aside from that, Lin Miaomiao actually disagreed with He Guanho's behavior. She couldn't keep her promise to her son, not because of work, but because she was caring for a single mother's daughter. He Guanho's family was well off, with 2 nannies to take care of meals, clean, and take their son to kindergarten. When Zhao Qin asked for help, He Guanho could have asked the nanny at home to help instead of leaving his wife and young son to wait here, causing things to go in an uncontrollable direction. Gu Shufei pursed her lips when she heard this. She had thought about this problem, but she couldn't figure it out after thinking about it for the whole night, because her husband really didn't have any bad thoughts about those women. He was just trying to improve his reputation. Even if he doesn't have any bad thoughts about those women now, if he continues like this, I'm afraid he will make mistakes even if he doesn't have any thoughts in his mind. Lin Miaomiao looked down on her cousin-in-law. Cousin, you have to make the decision yourself about what to do about this matter, Lin Miaomiao said seriously. Since your cousin-in-law is a soft-hearted person, you went over and apologized sincerely, and then brought up the provocative actions Zhao Qin had done to you. I guess even if it was out of guilt, he would have won the position, but, Gu Shufei twisted her body reluctantly, wanting to say something, but still didn't say it. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 722, Pitiful and Hateful. Now that the words were out, Lin Miaomiao didn't want to say anything more. How the matter was to be resolved depended on her cousin's own opinion. Even if they were relatives, she couldn't get too involved. Lin Miaomiao covered her mouth and yawned, pretending to be tired. Cousin, you said you didn't want to break up, but your cousin-in-law is very angry right now. You either want to separate from him for a while so that you can calm down, or just give in. No, I can't give in. Gu Shufei had already analyzed the pros and cons. If I give in, it means that I can't care about these things in the future. What if he does something even worse? Yi Hongwen raised his eyebrows. So you want to separate from him temporarily? Gu Shufei bit her lip. She knew this was the best choice, but she was still unwilling to give in. After so many years of marriage, she had sacrificed more than a little for her husband and the He family. Now that the He family was doing better, her husband was starting to act out of line. There are so many pitiful people in the world, why doesn't he help the old people and children more? Instead, he softens his heart when a woman cries in front of him. What do you mean by it's not easy for a woman to make a living? Why doesn't he think about the fact that it's not easy for a wife like him? Thinking of what her husband said that day, Gu Shufei also hardened her temper. Let's separate. Anyway, I am a hard-hearted person. If he can figure it out, then we can continue. If he can't figure it out, then let's do as he says. Lin Miaomiao's surprised eyes moved around Gu's cousin's face for a while, and she felt relieved after confirming that she was not talking in anger. Gu Shufei's conditions are there, and she will not have to worry about finding a good home even if she gets divorced. As for this cousin-in-law now, he is so considerate of those weak and helpless women, so let him continue. After his wife and children are separated, let's see if he still has the capital to sympathize with women. I thought my cousin would continue to insist on being with him. Lin Miaomiao smiled lightly. I didn't expect that my sister would change her mind so quickly. Gu Shufei smiled bitterly. I have no choice. If it wasn't for the child to have a complete family, who would be willing to compromise? But he doesn't appreciate it, as if I have done something unforgivable. It's best if you can think this way, Yi Hongwen said in a deep voice. Miaomiao is tired. Since your problem has been solved, you can handle the future by yourself. No, Gu Shufei was anxious. I also want my cousin to give me some advice, such as what to do after the two separate to make him realize his mistake. If he can still get better, I don't want the baby to lose a complete family. Lin Miaomiao had a headache. Why did she feel that her cousin was a little unreasonable? She changed her ideas over and over again, and had a new idea every now and then. She was reluctant to divorce at first, but later after listening to her separation and calming down, she felt that it made sense. Now that she has thought of a solution, she said that the baby should have a complete family. Would she bring up something like it's better for a married couple to be together as they are originally married if she continued talking? In the end, It was just that Gu Shufei couldn't leave him and wanted to teach him a lesson, hoping that he would mend his ways and continue to be a family. Never mind, she wasn't the type to meddle in other people's business. As long as her cousin was happy, there was no need for her to offer advice. Lin Miaomiao didn't think she was that smart. Not only Lin Miaomiao, but even Yi Hongwen felt that her cousin's behavior was a bit unkind. Now there was no way for her to ask them for help. If they decided they couldn't get along and broke up in the future, she might think it was his wife who was giving her the wrong advice. It was better to just let it go. Thinking of this, Yi Hongwen said coldly, "It's better for you to make the decision on these matters, cousin. After all, it's your private matter as a couple. We can only analyze the situation for you, but we can't help you make a decision." Gu Shufei was stunned. "Cousin, you don't want to help me? I remember you always helped me before." "Could it be, it's none of Miaomiao's business?" Yi Hongwen interrupted her. Although she was just a cousin, they grew up together and it was no wonder he could guess what she was thinking. "Why is it none of her business?" Gu Shufei glared at Lin Miaomiao resentfully. She even tried to sow discord between her cousin and herself. If she had known, she would not have been so kind to help her with the pregnancy. "I think your vision is not very good, cousin. You don't want so many gentle and virtuous girls, but marry a troublemaker." Lin Miaomiao frowned. She was originally very grateful to her cousin and felt that it was pitiful for her to meet such a man. But she didn't expect that he was a weak person. He always expected others to help him out, and would speak ill of others when he was not satisfied. Being soft-hearted is truly unacceptable. Lin Miaomiao silently despised her own flaws, lowering her eyes and saying with a sullen expression, "It's not your cousin's place to judge me. If you have the time, you should think about your own future. Leaving your son with your parents is good, but if you leave him there for too long, he might not recognize you anymore." Lin Miaomiao's words were not without reason. After her cousin Gu had a falling out with her husband, even before her son's injuries had fully healed, she went to her husband's company to cause trouble. She successfully forced the bad woman out, and in the process, tarnished her husband's reputation. The couple's falling out was complete, and her brother-in-law simply filed for divorce and refused to return home. Gu Shufei later went to her husband's company several more times to cause trouble, ultimately costing him his job. She also lost her own job due to her frequent leave. Without a source of income, she fired the nanny and sent her son back to her parents' home. So, the saying that there's always something hateful about every pitiful person is truly true. Gu Shufei was furious. She had just complained a few words out of displeasure, but she didn't expect that this cousin would be so disrespectful and curse her son for not recognizing his mother. Gu Shufei wanted to curse, but she had also heard people talk about how powerful her cousin was, so she didn't dare to cause trouble directly. She could only turn to Yi Hongwen and said, "Cousin, are you just going to watch her bully your sister? Don't forget how your sister treated you when you were young. Whenever there was something delicious, you were the first to eat it." Knowing that her cousin had a cold temper and afraid that he would only protect his wife, Gu Shufei had no choice but to play the family card. Yi Hongwen replied with a cold face, "Miaomiao has a bad temper and she is pregnant. Please be more tolerant, cousin. As for the things when we were young, cousin, did you remember it wrongly? All the delicious food you mentioned was given to me by my mother." Lin Miaomiao was shocked. It turned out that this cousin was still a weirdo. She took the delicious food prepared for her son and complained that her cousin ate more than her. Lin Miaomiao's impression of her cousin was even worse because she still held a grudge after getting the advantage. Without waiting for her to say anything, she found an excuse to get rid of her. "I'm sleepy. If you're okay, you should go back first." Gu Shufei was not willing to leave like this without getting any help, but Yi Hongwen was already impatient seeing her behavior. He didn't give her a chance to object and directly sent her out the door. Chapter 723 Plan. Even after sending Gu Shufei away, Yi Hongwen's frown still clung to his face. Lin Miaomiao was upset, pouting unhappily. "Why did you find someone like this to help? It seems like she's acting like I have to worship her like a deity just because she helped me with my pregnancy." She refused to believe that Gu Shufei wouldn't get anything out of this trip to Border Star. Her husband wasn't one for cheap skating. Yi Hongwen was also helpless. He had asked Yi's mother for help, asking her to arrange a good doctor for his wife's pregnancy. Border Star was dangerous, and few doctors were willing to come. Gu Shufei had just lost her job, so Yi's mother had sent her over. "I was wrong this time. I should have sent you back directly. Even if the child is safe, you have to continue to take care of him. You can't stay on the border planet any longer." Yi Hongwen pondered for a while and made a decision reluctantly. "Let my mother arrange another spaceship to pick you up in a few days, and send your cousin home." By the way, Lin Miaomiao was anxious. Going back to take care of the baby is just like raising pigs. Her sister-in-law is fed up and cries for her parents home all day long. She doesn't want to live that kind of life. After rolling her eyes, Lin Miaomiao quickly thought of an excuse. "Looking at cousin Gu, I'm afraid she won't be willing to go back like this. I think she hasn't given up yet and is looking forward to your support." Gu Shufei obviously wanted to continue living with her brother-in-law Gu, but she was afraid that her husband would have two minds, so she wanted to find a strong backer, and Yi Hongwen was the one she chose. Yi Hongwen smiled bitterly and said, "I didn't expect my cousin's temper to become more and more left-wing. She only cares about herself and doesn't care about the feelings of others at all." "That's right." Lin Miaomiao nodded in agreement. "Seriously, I don't know what she is thinking. It's better to resolve conflicts between husband and wife privately. She actually went to my cousin's husband's company and ruined both of their jobs. Don't worry about her. Although she is my cousin, our relationship is just like that." Yi Hongwen was too lazy to care about these things that had nothing to do with him, especially since the relationship between the cousin and brother was very weak. "You should think about where to go back to take care of the baby. How about going back to Zhangyang Star?" The mother had given birth to 2 children, so taking care of the pregnant woman should be no problem. There was no female elder at home in the Lin family. Without anyone to watch over her, Miaomiao was afraid that she would not be able to take good care of the baby. Yi Hongwen's words were more like notifications than asking for opinions, because he would not give a second choice. No, Lin Miaomiao was reluctant. Although Yi's mother was kind and Yi's younger sister was lively, she wasn't happy about nurturing her pregnancy on the unfamiliar Zhangyang Star. "Oh, I have important things to do. Lolly didn't come with me, and I'm the one who buys all the food. Eating is a major event for the fleet." Even the captain couldn't say she was wrong. Lin Miaomiao's idea is nice, but Yi Hongwen wasn't buying it. "While purchasing food is important, you don't have to do it. I'll find someone to take your place. Your friend Yunayan is great. She's helped you out before." Poor Yunayan. She'd only gotten into trouble as a new recruit and been forced to help in the kitchen as punishment. She'd been ridiculed for years, and even Yi Hongwen hadn't forgotten it. Purchasing was simple enough. Just check the warehouse inventory every few days, list the ingredients you need, and buy them online. Furthermore, pregnant women were asked to spend less time on the Star Network, so Lin Miaomiao had to agree even though she was reluctant. However, she still didn't want to go to Zhangyang Star. "There's nothing fun there. I can only wander around the vegetable garden and fruit grove every day. I don't have any friends. I don't want to go." Yi Hongwen raised his eyebrows slightly. He was only thinking about having his mother take care of the pregnant woman, and hadn't considered the environmental issues. Zhangyang Star had a good environment, but it was inconvenient to do anything. After being used to the prosperous Malulan and Shaoyin stars, he definitely didn't want to go to those backward planets. Frowning and thinking for a long time, he still couldn't think of a good solution. He decided to put it aside for now and consult his mother later. Staying on the border planet definitely won't work. The climate here is too harsh, and it's not easy to replenish your body. Yi Hongwen pinched his brows. "Let me discuss it with mother first." Lin Miaomiao refused to agree. "What do you mean by discussing it with mother? This matter is closely related to me. I must be involved." Yi Hongwen had no intention of leaving her alone. After all, his wife had a bad temper. If he made the decision on her behalf, she might bite. So he agreed. "Okay, I'll definitely ask you to discuss it with me when the time comes. Remember," Lin Miaomiao warned earnestly, "if I make a decision on my own, I will definitely run away from home." Speaking of which, why did the word "run away from home" sound so familiar? It seemed like I had heard it somewhere before, and she began to think about it carefully. Oh no. Lin Miaomiao finally remembered something that had troubled her. Her sister-in-law was under too strict control by her own mother and was actively planning to run away from home. They had also agreed that if she didn't convince Aunt Ren, she was afraid that her sister-in-law would take action. Ren Jiao was also a spoiled brat. Even though she was pregnant, it was impossible for her to stay home and take care of the baby. She had to contact Aunt Ren immediately to inquire about the situation. Just then, Yi Hongwen received a message from the second captain saying that there was something important to discuss. He had no choice but to call in the robot nurse to take care of his wife. Before leaving, he was reluctant to let her go. "I have things to do. You rest well in the infirmary. Although the critical period is over, you still need to stay in bed for a few days." Lin Miaomiao's face was wooden and disgusted. "Why are you so nagging? The doctors have already explained everything. There is no need for you to repeat it. Hurry up and leave." Even though Yi Hongwen was calm and composed, his wife's dismissive attitude made his heart cold. Not daring to continue nagging, Yi Hongwen could only lean over and kiss his wife's lips with resentment, then leave without looking back. Watching her husband's tall figure disappear at the ward door, Lin Miaomiao felt a little frustrated. Soldiers are like that, they don't get much time to spend with their families. She'd been mentally prepared for this ever since she chose to join the fleet and marry Yi Hongwen. Unfortunately, even with all that mental preparation, when it came time for her pregnancy, Lin Miaomiao couldn't help but feel sentimental. If only her husband were constantly by her side. "Why is he so sentimental? He wasn't like this even when I was away on a mission, even if I hadn't seen him for a month or two. Why is he so upset today?" Lin Miaomiao grumbled to herself. "It's more important to find a way to save my sister-in-law from this misery. Actually, if my sister-in-law stayed with Chen Guang, she could stroll around the clubhouse every day, have a high bed and soft pillows when she felt tired, and delicious meals in the cafeteria when she felt hungry. When the fleet returned, she could visit her brother and wait for him to come and visit the base. It would be a truly heavenly life. Wouldn't it be even better to have a pregnant woman join such a leisurely life? There would be someone to play the game of cuckold with." Chapter 724 Pregnancy Syndrome. With an idea in mind, Lin Miaomiao couldn't wait to act. She had to convince Ren's mother first. If she didn't act now, she was afraid her sister-in-law would act, and she couldn't take that risk. She had already asked her sister-in-law for Ren's mother's contact number, carefully prepared a plan, and went over it in her mind. After confirming that there were no problems, Lin Miaomiao dialed. To her surprise, Ren's mother was easily persuaded. With just a few subtle suggestions, even the first, second, third, and fourth reason she had thought of were useless. She was still in shock when she hung up the phone. After finishing the meeting with a bewildered look on her face, Lin Miaomiao dazedly contacted her sister-in-law again. "Your mother agreed." "Agreed to what?" Ren Jiaojiao paced around the room restlessly, not paying any attention to what her sister-in-law said. She just yelled unhappily, "This life is too boring. The baby in my belly will be bored." "Miaomiao, have you convinced my mother?" Lin Miaomiao was speechless. She had made it so clear, but her sister-in-law still hadn't reacted. Are pregnant women so slow to react? No matter how much she complained, the matter was settled. She didn't bother to make her sister-in-law stupid. After all, she was pregnant too. It would be bad if she became like this in the future. As the saying goes, fortunes change, and whoever it turns to is the family. She couldn't afford to offend her sister-in-law now. After all, she planned to raise the baby together with her sister-in-law. So Lin Miaomiao said very honestly, "I've already looked for it, and your mother agreed. I'll have someone clean up my apartment in Changguang, and then you can move in." "Miaomiao, you're awesome." Ren Jiaojiao wanted to hug her sister-in-law and kiss her hard. "You've convinced my mother. You're really good at talking." Lin Miaomiao felt a little guilty, because she didn't have time to persuade her sister-in-law at all. Her sister-in-law actually treated her as a heroine, and her sparkling eyes were full of admiration, which made her unable to even tell the truth. But if she didn't say anything and just took all the credit, if the truth came out one day, she wouldn't be able to withstand her sister-in-law's murderous eyes. After hesitating for a few seconds, Lin Miaomiao said decisively, "Sister-in-law, don't praise me. It didn't take me much effort to do this. I just brought up the idea, and Aunt Ren agreed without saying a word." Ren Jiaojiao, who was praising her sister-in-law endlessly, choked, "My mother is so easy to talk to." Lin Miaomiao nodded, "Your mother is just so easy to talk to." "Oh my god." Ren Jiaojiao couldn't accept this fact. If your mother agreed so easily, why was she jumping around like this? She could just go and talk to her mother directly. "I'm such a fool." Lin Miaomiao agreed deeply. Aunt Ren was such a sensible person, but her sister-in-law said her so terribly that she didn't even dare to mention moving out. How sad Aunt Ren would be if she knew. "You're really not doing this," Lin Miaomiao looked at her sister-in-law reproachfully. Aunt Ren is doing this for you and your nephew's own good, and you're saying she's too strict. You're trying to persuade her everywhere, hoping to get out of this misery. That's not the behavior of a gentleman. Ren Jiao deadpanned. I'm not a gentleman, I'm a villain. Gentlemen are always obsessed with prestige and suffer in vain. But she wouldn't be like that. Living happily is what matters most. But her mother's behavior seemed strange. She'd accidentally let her mother know she wanted to move out the last time, only to be scolded for not cherishing her unborn child. But now, her sister-in-law said her mother hadn't refused at all, and had even offered to send her off once she packed her things. Ren Jiao couldn't help but think something was amiss. Could it be that her mother had grown tired of caring for her every day and was about to throw her out when her sister-in-law handed her a ladder, allowing her to descend? The more she thought about it, the more she felt this was the truth. Ren Jiao suddenly felt wronged. She'd only lived at home for 2 months, and her mother already disdained her? Could it be that a married daughter is like spilled water, her parents simply ignoring her? She was so lost in the humiliation of her mother's disdain that she forgot even to mention it. She just kept pouting, stubbornly thinking that she had to explain things to her mother. If she truly disdained her, then at worst, she wouldn't return to the Ren family. But it was hard to let go of a place where she'd lived for decades, with family she'd known for decades. Wu Ren Jiao cried, tears streaming down her face. Lin Miaomiao was startled. Sister-in-law, what's wrong with you? You're crying for no reason. Someone who didn't know would think I was bullying you. She had been smiling brightly just a moment ago, but now she was in tears. Could this be because she was pregnant? This pregnancy syndrome was truly frustrating. Lin Miaomiao couldn't imagine herself becoming like her sister-in-law. It would be utterly humiliating. No, she had to find a way to prevent herself from becoming stupid. Lin Miaomiao picked up the book again, reading while comforting her sister-in-law. Don't be sad, you are going to move out as you wished. Why are you sad again? My mother dislikes me, Ren Jiao said with a sob. As soon as you said you would take me to Chenguang, she agreed. Doesn't this mean she doesn't like me anymore? It was obviously just a guess, but she said it with confidence. If someone who didn't know Ren's mother heard it, they might believe it. Lin Miaomiao sighed helplessly. Sister-in-law, you're overthinking it. I think your baby is already 3 months old. As long as you take care of yourself, everything will be fine. Aunt Ren knows you can't sit still at home, so she definitely doesn't want to restrict you. Really? Ren Jiao was unconvinced. Last time I hinted at something, she scolded me profusely. Well, Lin Miaomiao couldn't explain it. After all, she was Aunt Ren's mother, so how could she know what others were thinking? She could only offer vague advice. She probably thinks your sister-in-law is too volatile and worried she can't take care of herself. I just told her that I'll find someone reliable to take care of your meals. Maybe she'll come to her senses. Lin Miaomiao had to admit, she had come to the truth. Mother Ren knew her daughter's temper. Cooped up at home all day, she felt like an ant on the hot pot, constantly pacing around trying to get out of her predicament. But Ren Jiao had been spoiled since she was a child. She didn't like food cooked by robots, but she had never touched a finger and couldn't cook at all. It was impossible for her to move out on her own. As for finding something to do outside, Mother Ren could only laugh at her daughter's naivete. Running around with a big belly wasn't easy, and she'd just been looking for something on a whim. What if something unexpected happened while she was running around? Seeing her daughter's temper escalate day by day, Mother Ren racked her brains for a solution, even considering letting her daughter stay at the Lin family's old house in Malulin for a while to relax. Who could have imagined that before Mother Ren could even bring it up, Lin Miaomiao contacted her, saying she wanted to take her sister-in-law to stay at the Mecha club near the base for a while. It was like a dream come true, and Mother Ren readily agreed. Chapter 725, All Kinds of Nonsense. Ren Jiao, thinking her mother had finally given up on her temper and was about to kick her out, was overcome with grief, bursting into tears in front of her sister-in-law. Her mother thought her daughter had a wonderful place to stay, someone prepared meals, something to occupy her time when she was bored, and even the chance to see her son-in-law every day when he returned from the front lines. It was simply too good to be true. Lin Miaomiao, however, felt a mother and daughter were incredibly awkward. Something that could easily have been resolved with a heart-to-heart talk was being taken to heart, yet they resorted to such lengthy, unpleasant conversations that made everyone anxious. Well, Being overly anxious while pregnant wasn't a good thing. Lin Miaomiao, feeling that the matter was resolved, and that she no longer needed to listen to her sister-in-law's forced sorrow, hung up, shifted into a comfortable position in bed, closed her eyes, and fell asleep. She slept so soundly that she missed dinner and didn't open her eyes until after 9 p.m., startled by Gu Shufei standing over her bed, her face full of resentment. "Cousin Gu," Lin Miaomiao asked cautiously, "why haven't you gone back to sleep yet? Where is Yi Hongwen?" There was an empty bed in the ward. Yi Hongwen would come to the infirmary to accompany her at night these past few days. Lin Miaomiao was used to seeing her man as soon as she opened her eyes, but what happened today? She was puzzled and could only hope for Gu Shufei's answer. However, she was not surprised. Yi Hongwen was the captain of Shenyu. He had a lot of things to do every day. Coming to the hospital to accompany her also sacrificed a lot of rest time. Maybe he couldn't come today because of something. Gu Shufei looked at Lin Miaomiao unhappily. She asked where her cousin had been as soon as she woke up, and wanted to drive her away. What's good about such a wife who is neither gentle nor virtuous? It would be better to divorce her and find another one. Unfortunately, Lin Miaomiao was lucky and had a baby in her belly, so she couldn't suggest her cousin to find another one. She could only vent her dissatisfaction with a sneer. "You lie in bed every day, eat and sleep and eat again, just like a pig." No wonder my cousin couldn't stand it. Lin Miaomiao frowned. "What are you talking about, cousin? You said yourself that you should stay in bed and rest when you have a baby. You can't crawl up and down, and you can't walk around for 7 days. Why do you think I'm lazy now?" Gu Shufei choked. She was usually very good at talking, but it was useless when she met this cousin with a paralyzed face. It made her very angry. "Look at what you said, cousin. I was just joking with you. There's no need for such a serious rebuttal." Gu Shufei laughed dryly and changed the subject. "By the way, when I came here, I saw a beautiful woman waiting for Hongwen in the ward. I don't know who she is. Could it be?" "It's none of your business who she is," Lin Miaomiao interrupted her provocation without any hesitation. "My Hongwen is not as sympathetic as my cousin's husband, and he doesn't need my cousin to supervise him." When her husband's shortcomings were mentioned, Gu Shufei's face turned pale. She made a decision in her heart that she would separate from her husband after she returned. If her husband didn't come to apologize after a long time, she would file for divorce. If her husband came to apologize, she would have to negotiate the conditions before forgiving him. And this cousin's wife who always loved to go against her must be suppressed. It would be better if she could be replaced by a more obedient one, like the one just now, who was beautiful and gentle. Gu Shufei's eyes swept over Lin Miaomiao's belly subtly. With this little one, she was afraid that her aunts would not be willing to change their wives. If she had known that her cousin's wife was so unruly, she would definitely not help. Now, she saved an ungrateful person. "Since you are awake, eat quickly. Don't wait for your cousin to come back and see that you haven't eaten. He will think that I, your cousin, have abused you." "Cousin, you are joking. I just woke up and don't have much appetite." "Let's put it aside for now." Lin Miaomiao felt disgusted when she saw Gu Shufei, and she was even more reluctant to eat in front of her. Who knows if there is any dirty stuff in it? The so-called dirty things, of course, do not refer to harmful things such as poisons and drugs, but she is afraid that Gu Shufei will spit in the food. Cousin Gu is not a person who likes to be picky. "Forget it, eat it if you want." Gu Shufei curled her lips and lay down on the empty bed next to her. "I'll take a nap first. I went out for a walk during the day and the sun was very strong." Lin Miaomiao was too lazy to pay attention to Gu Shufei anymore. She fiddled with the communicator absent-mindedly. She had already asked Wei Junayan to find someone to clean up her apartment in Shenguang. She didn't know if her sister-in-law had gone there. Just when she was hesitating whether to contact her sister-in-law to ask, there was a knock on the door of the ward. After only a few knocks, the door was pushed open. Lin Miaomiao looked out and said, "Brother? You finally decided to come here to see me." She had been in the infirmary for a few days, but Lin Xianhao had not shown up. It was said that he was repairing mechas in the nail repair room without sleep. He didn't even have time to eat, let alone come to see her. "Hey," Lin Xianhao rubbed his head and chuckled. "Little sister, how are you? I've been so busy these past few days that I haven't had time to come see you. By the way, how did you get hurt?" Lin Miaomiao's face darkened. "Brother, are you stupid? I'm not injured at all." "Ah, Lin Xianhao scowled. Why are you lying in the hospital if you're not injured? Are you trying to feign illness to get out of training? Let me tell you, our Lin family can't do such dishonest things. Lin Miaomiao watched her brothers chatter with embarrassment. It seemed that he was so focused on the mecha that he didn't even know why his sister was in the hospital. Brother, Lin Miaomiao tried to interrupt him, but his voice was too soft for Lin Xianhao to hear. After trying several times, he still couldn't interrupt him, so he just let him have his fill. After all, he had nothing else to do, so he just treated it like a stand-up comedy show. When Lin Xianhao was so exhausted from scolding that he took out a bottle of water from the space button and gulped it down, Lin Miaomiao said quietly, Brother, although I'm not injured, I'm pregnant and had a miscarriage. I almost had a miscarriage. Lin Xianhao choked on the water and coughed heartbreakingly. Gu Shufei, who was unable to sleep because of the noise, threw a pillow at him impatiently. If you want to make a fuss, go outside and don't complain here. Are you going to let me sleep? It was just a light pillow. There was no way it could hit Lin Xianhao under normal circumstances. But he was so startled by his sister's words that he didn't even try to dodge and was hit in the face by the pillow. The pillow slowly slid to the ground. Lin Xianhao asked his younger sister with a sad face, You were kidding just now, right? As the eldest brother, he didn't even know that his younger sister was pregnant and had a miscarriage while staying on the border star, and he hadn't visited her for several days. If his family knew about it, he would probably be skinned alive. Lin Miaomiao glanced at him with disdain and said coldly, Are you stupid? How could I joke about this? It's over, my dad will kill me. Lin Xianhao wailed, holding his head in his hands and squatting in the corner to plant mushrooms. End of this chapter. Thank you so much for reading until the end. Don't forget to give it a like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription or donation encourages us to continue. Thank you all. See you in the next video.